woman, she got the moon in her eye.
Hey guys, it's Kylie and Zori back with the podcast.
We got a spooky one.
Yeah, today we're gonna talk about conspiracies.
Conspiracies, creepy shit phenomenon, funny shit.
Funny shit.
Funny creepy shit.
We're currently drinking our, I can't even say this, Jinro.
Is it? Yeah, it looks like Jinro, but I feel like it's pronounced like
it's
something
our
else.
Asian alcohol. That's 13%.
It's fucking delicious.
Strawberry flavored. It's imported.
You're telling me this is 13%?
Yeah, that's what it
Like,
says
this
by
tastes like
itself.
juice.
Yeah, and it's clear. It's really weird. It's like crystal clear, no color. Okay, so what do we want to touch on first?
Oh my god. Okay, well first we should talk about the submersible.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck? What was your
So
reaction when you heard about it?
It
Because
definitely was like a weird, quick snowball of like,
Yeah.
oh, they're going to look at the Titanic. So the first thing I saw about it was like, these rich people paid $250,000 for one ticket. First of all, never.
I'm
like,
sick
no
and
matter
tired.
how much money I
I'm
have,
sick and
there's no
tired.
reason I want to go to the bottom of the ocean for anything.
First of all, okay, the Titanic sunk. It was a tragedy.
Yeah.
Like, that shit was awful.
But it's just a ship.
But also,
I don't need to see
if
that.
it sunk in that area, why would you? What makes you want to go down? They went down. Now you want to go down.
And did
That
you
doesn't
see?
make sense to
I
me.
watched a TikTok video of the submarine. Did you see how claustrophobic it looked? I don't know if you saw that.
I did, and I heard that
Ugh.
they actually weren't even like. There's one eye on it, right? Like a glass.
Yeah,
bowl.
one.
You weren't going to be able to see through it, so there was like cameras on the outside that would connect to laptops. So everybody in it would just be on the laptop looking at.
So why not
the sunken-
send it down by itself without people in
That's
it?
what my mom said. My mom was like, they could have just went down by themselves.
Yeah.
And then sold the footage. Also,
Yeah.
$250,000
to not even have full glass windows, full blown, being able to see everything.
I'm over it.
I'm
not saying
I saw the
people-
one little window. It was like
I'm not saying at all that people deserved to die, but I'm just saying, like, it puts shit into perspective, right? Like, maybe let's not just spend money on shit just to spend money on shit, just because we have the money to do it. Like,
I could definitely put that money way elsewhere.
I'm sorry, like $250,000 for it to implode.
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
And how many people were on that? They easily made over $1 million. If
Like
it was
five.
that.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
over $1 million that they made.
Oh
Well,
my God.
not anymore.
Well,
Like, whoever was
Yeah.
connected to it, like, fuck that.
just very strange to me. Like, that's
Weird.
not that important just to see a
It's
shipwreck.
weird.
Like,
Also, it's, like, so deteriorated and disintegrating. Like, I don't even think if I happen to accidentally see a piece of shit from the Titanic, I would be impressed.
no.
I would just be like, oh.
Like in a museum. Like,
Even if it was in a
cool.
museum, I'd be
Just
like, that's
cool.
crazy. But, like, why would I go down to the middle of the fucking ocean
No.
to go see that shit?
Nope. Literally, museum is just where I'd leave it.
I had, like, this weird period of time, I don't remember when it was, maybe, like, over a year ago or something, where, like, it was very, like, a couple days, where I was just obsessed about the Titanic, and I was like, oh my God. Like, and I watched this, like, what is it, like, simulation thing on YouTube, where it was, like, the Titanic sinking in real time, but, like, sped up.
Yeah.
So it showed, like, the boat and, like, how long it took and, like, what it looked like, kind of. And it, honestly, I've always thought about the Titanic, and I was like, yeah, that's sad, but, like,
Yeah.
when you put it in perspective, when you think about it, it's terrifying.
Like sinking on a ship.
On a ship in the middle of the night. It's
No, yeah, I
cold
would.
as fuck.
That's actually my
And
biggest
also
fear.
the sounds. I didn't think about the sounds.
Oh, yeah.
I never thought about the sounds. But the people who did survive and got on those little boats, they still were out there. So they heard the rest of that huge fucking ship hit the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
You could hear it.
I'm sure.
Like,
think about
hit the ocean.
So, like, it's the same
That is
thing probably
terrifying.
as, like, you don't even think about, like, a car accident. Very loud. Way louder than you would
think it
ever
is, right.
imagine. Like, it was way louder.
It's
like when I would
in
hear car
your head, you're like,
accidents.
yeah, that's scary, but
like,
whatever.
you don't think about
the little
how
things.
loud,
Yeah.
like, just like...
Also, just being on the water after that.
No,
Just being on the
yeah.
water, watching other people drown. Because some
No.
people just weren't going to make it, and just watching people, like, fall off the
Yeah.
boat and die.
That is my biggest fear, honestly.
Oh my god! And
is,
let's go see it. Fuck off.
Just pieces of it. Like, who
Fuck
even...
off. Like,
what do you think you're gonna find? What's cool about it? You know what a ship
This
looks
is
like.
a perfect example of when you have that much money, you don't have anything better than to find some dumb ass way to spend it.
Honestly, it might have been a little bit more worth the money if they were like, we're gonna be able to scuba through it. Like,
yeah.
That's a little bit worth the money.
But even
more.
then,
like,
it's like, why are we...
I still wouldn't do it.
How deep it is?
But like, no,
like,
I know. That's the issue.
That's why it was in a submersible,
That's the
because
issue.
you couldn't even go down there without, like, dying.
Yeah.
And which is what happened.
I could understand
like,
if it was in more of a surface area and like scuba.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So sick.
But
you know what
even
I mean?
that wouldn't be worth
it still wouldn't pay.
$25,000.
No,
$250,000.
No.
Jesus Christ.
Literally no.
Get a life.
It's so
do
weird.
something with that much money.
It's
Go
so weird.
skiing.
Yeah.
Buy a summer home.
Yeah, buy a second
I support
home.
any other activity.
And then what were you gonna do? Just be able to
Look
tell
at it?
people that you did
So
that?
I went into a submersible.
Well, I guess
and
you
I
would
saw a little
technically-
laptop picture of the outside of the
technically
submersible.
be famous because people would know you go on.
My thing
but,
is,
like,
I don't
it
think so,
doesn't-
because I really don't think we would have, even if it went successfully, I don't think it would have blew up in the news like it did. Like, I feel like it might have been a little thing, like, some people went in a submersible to see the Titanic, and we'd be like, okay. Like, even if you heard that news, would you even give a fuck? No. Like, I don't even think they'd be famous.
I think they
just
really
just
not
went
even that
to
cool
feel
me.
exclusive and feel cool, and now look what fucking
I
happened.
don't know.
Anyway, moving on. So that happened. Whatever. And
Let's see, what's another?
so we were going to talk about conspiracies and phenomenon.
Yes.
And I can talk about that guy.
Yeah, you can do that first. Yeah.
Because I feel like I need to educate the masses. So I was listening to a podcast a while back, and they brought this up. And I was just like, this is unreal. And basically, I'm going to bring up the article. This is on a website called, I think it's called Cult Nation. But it's called Cult Nation, but the U is a V. So it's like
yeah.
Oh, whatever. And it's an article. It's an article about it, but you can find other articles on other websites about this guy. But basically his name is Tare. And he was a French soldier and a sideshow performer. So basically
soldiers.
I know. I think at different points in his life. So I'm gonna get into it. I'm basically gonna read. I'm gonna skim the article, but read right from the article, so I don't like fuck any shit up. So he apparently had something called polyphagia, which is a rare condition, very rare, where somebody suffering is unable to control their appetite. Okay. And in some cases will literally eat anything.
Oh.
So
it's like a zombie.
So kind of. And he is like one of the most famous historical cases of this polyphagia.
That's weird.
So he basically lived from 1772 to 1789, and he was turned out of his house when he was really young. So he was like, I don't know, I guess kicked out because of his ravenous appetite. And then became, that's how he became.
What does that mean? What was he eating?
So I'm going to get into it.
Oh.
So basically that's how he became a sideshow performer. I guess that's what you did in like the 1700s, right? Like
your
parents kicked you out, you're like, okay, I'll be a carny.
Use your like circus talent.
Yeah, he's like, I can eat anything. So he became a traveling performer, known for eating massive quantities of things. Okay, so the things he ate: rocks, corks, live animals in front of a crowd. And then when he was 16, he moved to Paris to become a street performer. And then he made his living eating strange and disgusting objects. Then he like fought in some wars, I guess.
Then he fought.
Yeah, he fought in some wars.
Okay.
And then there was an outbreak, and he was hospitalized and experimented upon by a Dr. Courville.
Okay.
Something like that. They fed him live animals, massive meals, and they monitored. Yeah, I don't know why they don't just get like, but they started monitoring like his digestive patterns, right, to like see what the fuck is up with this guy,
right?
And how he reacted to various foods. For example, a live cat, live eels, snakes, puppies, and more were offered to him. More things were offered to him by the doctors. He ate them up, and nothing.
Left no crumbs.
No, literally ate them, left no crumbs, and nothing satisfied his appetite. Like, he was still so hungry.
Was he large?
Bro
Did
was
it
so
say?
hungry.
Like, was he fat?
The pictures
like,
of him, there's like paintings, but I don't know if they're actually of him or if they're just like of like the idea of him.
Okay,
but they're not like big. But I'm sure he
if
had
like
to be.
he's gaining weight from this,
I don't
or
know.
if his metabolism's burning.
I think
so
they asked
fast
the same questions in the podcast that I was listening to, where they were like, "Is he not fat?" But I think that maybe has to be a part of it. If he's hungry, like actively hungry, he has to be burning his shit like crazy,
like, as
so
he's eating every second.
Yeah. So basically, he observed that like he ate dogs, he ate eels without chewing. He ate a lot of this shit without chewing.
Maybe that's why.
Almost instantly.
It's not digesting quick.
After the meal, one of his meals, his abdomen was so swollen that it resembled a balloon.
Oh my god.
And he was seen by a surgeon at a military hospital where he had swallowed a wooden box wrapped in plain white paper. I don't know why. Like, the shit that this guy's eating. And then 30 pounds of raw liver and lungs. Nothing would diminish his appetite.
30 pounds.
He also drank the bleedings of the hospital. I don't know what that means. Okay. But I'm assuming like just fluids that were...
The blood vials that they would when they would draw people's blood.
That's disgusting.
So now we have a vampire zombie mix on our hands.
So here's the real kicker. This is when everybody in, like, I guess France or Paris or wherever he was at the time was fucking sick of him. He was he's suspected to have eaten a child, a 14-month-old toddler.
14 is
but there was no proof.
Month is
there was no proof, but this kid went missing and they were in the same hospital apparently. Yeah.
I mean, where else would it go?
And he died of diarrhea. All of his intestines and peritoneum were in like suppurating condition. I don't know what that means, but yeah. So basically, the most disturbing detail is that the hospital staff believed that he had eaten a 14-month-old who disappeared during his stay there. He was chased out of the hospital, although he was never formally charged with murder. In the last few months of his 26 years on the planet, so he was young when he died. He suffered from advanced tuberculosis, and then years of abuse left on his body. Like, his body was, it says putrescent state. I don't really know what that means, but
putrid.
Yeah, probably something like that.
I'm trying to think of the word putrid. What that means?
Oh, and like, when
crazy terrible
doctors. I mean, I probably can like. It's 2023. Why am I acting like? Here we go. Look up putrescent. Undergoing the process of decay. So his body was rotting as he was living. His body was decaying while he was still alive. And then when they opened him up after his death, they found his organs swimming in pus.
Ew.
And his stomach riddled with ulcers.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then he has gone down as one of the most terrifying cases of polyphagia in human existence.
Okay, so
where did this toddler go? That's what I want to know.
So that was the 1700s, right? Mm-hmm. Shit like this always confuses me because, like, is that just not a thing anymore?
How is he so hungry? Like, but they said it's very rare.
Right.
He's just a famous case of it.
That's so weird. It just, okay, so nowadays, I feel like it would be that your, like, metabolism is just super fast. Super freaking fast.
I mean, that could be what it was then, too.
Like, no, it could be, but, like, he didn't have to start eating all that shit.
I just don't know why he chose like
food.
Why did you eat a wooden box with paper around it?
Why did you, like, when you found this out, why did you ever start eating rocks and shit like that? Like, why didn't you just eat your whole fridge?
I think,
like, everything.
I get what you mean. I think part of it is, like,
weird cravings?
I don't know if he was craving shit, but I feel like, if you think about, like, he was also a sideshow performer. So I'm like, maybe some of it was just because he knew he could, right?
Yeah,
like, right. I can eat a rock. I'm hungry enough to eat a rock. I'll do it.
Like, he took the, I'm so hungry I could eat a cow, like, literal.
No, literally. Apparently he ate, like, goats and shit, too. I remember, like, they broke it down in the thing, but, like, a live cat.
That
has to hurt. How
Why
do
is
you
it
even
alive?
swallow that?
Yeah,
Because that means you have to swallow
eating
that.
live
like you
bugs
can't cut
is
it up.
like already hard because they like crawl at your throat and shit.
Like you're not swallowing a live cat. Like fuck you. I don't believe you.
No,
Also,
there's no way it was live. There's no way because you'd have to eat it in bites. Eventually, it's gonna die as you're eating. There's no way that even fits down your throat unless it's a kitten.
Maybe
even then, I don't even think that
maybe
fits
that's what
down
it
your throat.
was. Because they said
I still
puppies.
don't even think that fits down your throat.
If you
like newborns,
if he's
possibly.
good at hear me out.
like the throat, like
think about this.
Like
Think about
people
this.
swallow fire.
If he's been swallowing like whole shit for a while now.
His
He
throat
probably
expands.
got like the muscle for it.
Ew.
You think about like
Ew, I don't know.
think about like the swallowing muscles like I feel like those could get stronger.
Ew, I don't know.
And you just swallow.
Grippy. It's just gripping.
No, it's literally gripping. That's fucking scary.
That's just so weird to me.
That's scary.
And, like, why are all these weird things like happening in like the 1700s? That like I feel like nothing weird like
because
that
it was
anymore.
Because it was free reign back then.
just
Everything was crazy as fuck back then because there was no like. I mean, there was government, but nobody knew why anything happened, right? There was like very little science, very little explanation of anything. Like people, it was
very
literally
little,
just
medicine, shots.
It was just a free for all.
It was
back then. Like there was no rules. People were marrying like children. People were probably
true.
like
children were birthing children.
I
like
think a lot about
12-year-olds,
some of the fuck
10-year-olds.
shit that probably happened back then that we have no idea about.
Yeah.
Like the crazy absurdities that happened because people didn't know anything was weird yet.
Right.
And now we like have
now everything's weird,
and we know what's weird and what's not. So it's like I don't know, like a sideshow performer swallowing a live cat now would be disgusting. Yeah. We like when they swallow knives or fire,
right?
Which is still like I guess
weird,
strange, but like back then it was like I'm gonna pay to see somebody swallow.
Right.
A puppy because like I don't believe it.
Right.
And then you see it and I don't know. I feel like a lot of trauma happened back then because people there was just no rules.
There was
no social rules. That's what I mean. Like there was still government, but there wasn't
like
social
anything.
Rules. And government wasn't fully developed.
Yeah.
So I think there was like little colonies.
Right. So like
I'm not a historian.
Everything just goes. Like everything.
Yeah, they just were like, okay.
Like,
and I love that they just were like the doctor did like studies on him and then they were just like, you know what, like that's it, like that kid went missing and we know you swallowed him. So he's like, no, like, it wasn't me. Like they chased him out of the hospital.
They probably just
God.
like cut him open like
also his
recently
parents
after
I'm sorry, his parents kicking him out because he was so hungry.
Maybe the grocery bill was like
they said we are sick and tired. Go find somewhere else to stay.
Go
Oh my god. That is so funny.
He could have just hunted.
I know. I don't know.
He
didn't need to. He didn't need to kill it. He just
needed
to swallow it.
That's weird. And
but yeah, I wanted to bring that up because I feel like everybody should know about that.
Yeah.
Because finding out about that, I literally died inside.
Like, I feel like you should just know though that like if you swallow things whole or alive, like you're definitely fucked soon. Like
also you're just
definitely
like,
not living
on the loose, like swallowing people. Like
people.
like a toddler.
Was this not the one? I thought this was the one where you said he ate a foot. No, is that a different?
That
thing?
was a phenomenon that I was going to bring up later.
Okay,
he watched up on
I intertwined them, but also I want to know like when things got weird.
I want to know
when were people like this isn't okay though? Like this, like when did it get weird for people to be like?
I feel like we went from a period of being really normal to being really weird to being normal again, kind of. I mean, we're still weird. But, like, if you think about, like, cavemen, I don't feel like they were super weird. Because they were fully on survival. They were fully on survival mode. So, they're in caves. They're just like, we need to hunt, bring shit back. I feel like maybe...
But that's it. That's all their mind did.
I feel like that's all... They were very much animals in the way that, like... And they drew shit. Like, I feel like, weirdly, cavemen were more normal than the people in, like, the 15 and 1700s.
So, like, we're literally...
Because they had, like... advanced knowledge, but also not to...
But here's the thing. I think what's scaring, like, government and everyone is that each generation keeps getting smarter and smarter.
Dude, if you told somebody in the 1500s, if you looked at them, and you were an adult, and you looked at, like, a kid, and you just said, like, fucking cats can fly.
Well,
Cats
anything.
can fly, and you've never seen it, and you're never gonna see it because you're a stupid kid. They'd
Not
be like,
even that. But
okay.
you could literally just tell them that, like, we have a dishwasher. It's things that wash your dishes for you. Something
And
so
they'd be
little.
like-
Or, like, anything. A microwave.
It seems so...
like,
that's why I'm like,
anything.
people are like, oh, like, we thought the future would be like the Jetsons. And I'm like, we kind of are. We don't have, like,
No, but,
flying
like,
cars.
it's not going to stop. We're only going to keep getting
I
smarter
know.
and smarter. So, like, it will be
The
here.
AI thing is, like, crazy.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
no.
Because it's, like, the AI art, for example,
Yeah.
is, like, stealing from artists. Because they take shit from other
That's like,
artists.
yeah.
And artists are already, like, underappreciated.
It's already a hard thing.
It's a hard thing to do. You're underappreciated. And I'm like, AI's taking that. And so we need to get some kind of control on AI. I'm not, like, worried about robots taking over the world. I'm not saying it won't happen. Again, I entertain anything.
Yeah.
But I'm not really worried about it happening. I'm not like, oh my god, this technology is getting too advanced.
I'm only worried.
I just am like, we need to get legislation on it.
Yeah.
Because if it's stealing shit from people, like, we're already underpaid and overworked in this country.
Right.
Like, come on. Soon it's going to be AI music.
I know. I'm just only nervous that robots could happen in our lifetime. I'm just not cool with that. I'm just not.
I mean, robots are, you think.
Right, but, like, I mean, like, taking over. Where,
Yeah.
like, people aren't even working anymore.
Yeah.
Or, like, just really... Or, like, you have them in your house
You know what,
cleaning
though?
for you.
I
like,
think...
cooking for you.
I don't know. It's just so weird.
I just don't need that.
Yeah.
Like, this is as
I
much
really
technology
liked,
as I need.
I don't want to sound ignorant at all, and I always, like, bring this up because I'm like, obviously COVID was, like, awful, but I really liked the analog that it brought back to, like, society, which was, like, everybody kind of went back to, like, other things, right? So then we got drive-in movies and, like, shit like that again that we didn't just do anymore just for fun. Because, like, I mean, drive-in movie theaters still existed.
I love
but, like,
drive-in
it was
movies.
very, like, rare.
Yeah.
And then, like, a lot of them reopened for COVID because it's, like, a very... You can be in your car and watch the movie. And I was like, that's so cool. And, like, bringing back some of that old-fashioned shit. And also just slowing down. Like, COVID really slowed us down. And I think we just need to breathe.
I think
I don't know why we're moving so fucking fast. Why is there a new iPhone every fucking month?
Every year, me and my sister were just talking about that. We go, what are we going to be on? iPhone 47?
No, literally.
Like,
I got my iPhone last summer, and somebody goes, oh, yeah, I have the new iPhone 14. I think mine's 13. I don't know if it's 14 or 13. But they were like, oh, is yours the new one? And I was like, I don't fucking...
They're all new.
Literally me. Like, rolling my eyes.
I'm trying to think, like, what number we're
is mine the
on.
newest one? I was like, I don't know if I have the newest one. I got mine last summer.
That-
so I don't
yeah.
know if there's a new one already
no,
or not.
it comes out every September.
Yeah,
So,
I
yeah.
probably do have the newest one.
I think
then.
the 14
But
is the
still, it
newest
was
one.
like... That's what I'm saying.
No,
I feel like I have the
No,
13.
you do, because the 14 has 3 cameras.
No, the Pro has 3 cameras. Because I could have got 3 cameras.
Oh,
but
then
got
maybe
the Pro.
you have the same generation
but
of it, but it is
in
a Pro and then that. That's
It's
what
so weird.
My issue right now is, like, I need a new phone, and I'm like, oh, do I get one right now, or do I wait till September?
But here's the thing. Here's why I got a new phone. Because right before I got this phone, which is the newest, I had an 8 Plus. So I still had a home button.
I had a home button.
And I bought that shit
I love the home
intentionally.
button,
Because when I got my phone, they had just put out, like, the X, which didn't have a home button, and I could choose between the two.
Hated
and
it.
I chose 8 Plus because I was like,
I can't give up the home button.
I was like, I love my home button, and I don't want to give it up. And then 2, it was just, like, cheaper, and I was like, this is it. I love it. Also, with the Plus.
Was it a hard transition?
It was.
From
It
the
really,
home button
it
to
really
that?
wasn't. It was kind of intuitive, which was weird because I remember picking up my mom's phone, and she didn't have a home button, and I was like...
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do with it, but weirdly, when it was my phone, I just, like, figured it out. Like, I was like, oh, this makes sense. So it was really intuitive, but my thing with it is, like... So, yeah, I had the 8 Plus, and I was like, I don't want to get a new phone. I'm literally fine with mine, and mine's fine. But I'm kind of riding the edge of where they'll, like, trade. You know what I mean? Not fully trade, but, like, they gave me $200 for my 8 Plus. And that was old. So they said if you had a 6, they would give you $100. So I was like, I kind of get, it's almost cheaper to just get a new phone, not every year, but like maybe every 3 or something or 4. Because for the new phones, like for the X, if you have the X, they were giving you like $400.
Yeah.
For like a $700 phone, $800 phone. I was like, I get how that's cheaper. Because then you're only paying $400 for your
Yeah,
phone.
that's true.
When it's really like a $900 phone. So I was like, okay, I get how it's cheaper to just keep upgrading. So I might just keep doing that. But yeah, I was like, oh my God, this is
the only
fucking
reason
crazy.
why I would want a new phone is because the camera. I'm so like big on like taking cool pictures.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff like
when
that.
I got this, I didn't even get it for the camera, but like, I remember like FaceTime my friend, it looks so clear.
Oh, stop,
even now when I take videos,
good.
it's so clear, but I'm like, I mean, I don't even take pictures.
That's why I'm like,
that,
maybe I should just wait till the one comes out in September, right around my birthday time.
Yeah, you might
could,
as well.
like,
If it's coming
myself.
out, yeah.
And it might have a cooler
And what do you have?
camera.
What is this?
So this is the SE, but it came out the same time as the 11.
Okay.
So it's old, but it's not like, it's
Crazy.
probably like, what, 3 years old, maybe?
They have an
4.
SE of like every version. I think they had an SE of the 14.
So this is the newest one. Well, the last one with the home button. And the small size. I liked the size. Your size isn't that big. But the Pro
mine
is huge.
The screen is, this is smaller than my last phone, but the screen is the same size, if that makes sense. My last one had like the bottom.
Oh, wait, what did you have? The 8?
I had the 8
I
Plus.
had that too right before that.
And it was
or I had the
big
7 Plus. It was the same thing.
I love having a big phone. I don't know why. I think what it is I saw
can't reach.
a really short girl. Like, she was short and like teeny tiny, and she had an 8 Plus in high school. And I just was like, that's so kind. Like, I just want to have like a big fucking phone and be like this fucking.
But here's the thing. Then it's big in your pocket. Then it's like my finger couldn't reach when it had the
this
whole
is
button.
like a good size though.
My finger couldn't, or no, while texting, if I wanted to text with one hand, couldn't do it. I couldn't reach. My hands are so small. So this phone fits perfect
if you're watching
for that.
the video, it's so much better.
Yeah.
Or Netflix or something on your phone. But this also isn't that crazy big.
Or like TikTok, probably.
Yeah.
TikTok is also, it's weird as shit because on my phone.
Does it cut off?
Yeah. I feel like it cuts off a little bit on my phone compared to the other bigger
I'm like, it should
phones.
just adjust.
Yeah.
That's so fucking
like,
stupid.
What?
Okay, but back to the creepy shit.
Just ranted a little bit.
So, do you want to get into conspiracy theories? Like, what were the things that you came?
Yeah. So, we just kind of talked about AI and everything moving so quick with technology, which technology is its own freaking conspiracy. It's just weird. But we were touching on what, the moon landing.
Oh, can you please?
So
we have to talk about the moon landing.
When
That's the most iconic. Like,
so actually, I realized this when somebody told me that, like, oh, you know, the moon landing could be staged, right? Like, it could just be like, you know, like they just set up a little thing and stage it. And my brain was like, no way. I didn't even comprehend that could be a thing when I first heard this a while back.
Yes.
I was like, no way. Like, who thought of that? Because now I'm like, I can't get it out of my head that it could be true.
Right.
Like, it's a very weird thought that could be true. Because, so in the American Horror Story season, season 10, the one about aliens and stuff, there was a portion where you would walk into the other room and it was all like black on the walls and they had a perfectly like moon
oh my God,
thing with the flag and like space suits and like they touched on it.
That's crazy.
They touched on it and I was like, oh my God, like this is just weird. Like this is so weird to me.
Okay, so have you seen any like videos about it? Like, where they, like, dissect why they think it could be fake.
I don't think I've seen those.
So, I've seen the videos. Because
Okay.
I remember, like, years ago hearing about this. So, I was like, this is fucking crazy. So, here's the thing about the moon landing. I said this, thanks. I said this earlier when we were in the car, but I don't give a fuck if it's real or not.
Yeah.
This is actually one of those things where I'm like, the government, honestly, if they did fake it, that's kind of so slay. And, like, I'm like, that's... I know. Because they really pulled a fast one on everybody.
Yeah, like, you didn't need to do the most
and if they
just to convince us.
And if they did... if they didn't fake it, then that's cool. We're the first time. Yeah. That's awesome. But I heard one of the reasons, like the motivation for it was like, there was a race to space, like from countries. Like I think Russia was like on the edge of like figuring it out and about to like go into space. And so we were like, or like first. What they already went into space, but nobody had like gone to the I forget what the fuck
to the moon or whatever.
So they were like, well, we just need to stage it, so we seem like we like fucking did it.
That
right?
still makes us the smartest
country.
that's
smartest. That's how we did it. That's actually so iconic. Like I love that. But it's so funny. So if you watch the footage, there's like one thing that they talk about is how there isn't any shadows. Because you're in space, but there's still the sun is there. So, like, there's no shadows, which is weird. Or maybe there was. Or, okay, I forget. But then there also weren't any stars, which I feel like that one's kind of off because I'm like, the cameras weren't that great back then. I'm like, I don't know if it would have picked up stars, but at the same time, why wouldn't it?
When was this again?
It was like,
in the...
like 60s, I feel like.
Yeah,
I feel like 60s is like the sweet
we
spot.
would have not had that technology.
Like, we had the technology to go to the moon, though. You know what I mean? So it's like, why? But
well,
I don't
maybe.
know. There was like no stars, like none. So people were like sussed out about that. There's also a certain part where like the guy's like moving and you can see like a little wire. And then some people swear like in the reflection of like, because you know how they wear the space suits,
right?
In the reflection of like his helmet, you could see like a stage light.
Okay.
And it was like, and I saw the video, and I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And I just was like, and it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like there's enough evidence to say that it's true and enough evidence to say that it's not.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm kind of in the middle of like, I don't really
yeah.
care. But it was so interesting to think like, they just built a little set and they said, put the black sheets up. We're beating fucking Russia. Call it a fucking day.
Though. And they're like, we'll figure it out for real later.
No, and literally trick everybody else at home. Because everybody was literally...
They were watching that, right?
It was everybody was sat watching it. Yeah, it was live. Yeah. And everybody was like, oh shit, like we landed... Like it was a big fucking
There was
deal.
also something where like, I think I did hear that maybe the footprints didn't... Something... I don't know if it didn't match up to the right spacesuit or it just didn't... I'm not sure.
It's odd. It's really fucking odd. Like...
So what were we using? Sand? Like, did they talk about the grounding of it?
So, I think, I mean, like, here's the thing, though. We've been doing film and movies way before then.
I think it was, like, the 20s or before that.
Maybe even before that.
Maybe the 1800s?
I think there was movies happening in the 1800s.
I can't remember.
Like, I just remember seeing, like, this really weird, like, it was when I went to see, Pearl.
Pearl was so good.
Like, all that old-fashioned porn.
Yes.
Like, they had cameras... way forever ago. They weren't always the best, but we've been doing like films have been a thing for a while.
Okay, so maybe
I'm like they know how to build like a set if they need to, especially in the government.
It's not even that hard.
So the one thing about it is like out of any government thing, which is like I mean I say I trust the most. I really just don't trust the government, but like out of all of the government agencies, I trust NASA because the government doesn't even care about what NASA has to say to an extent. Like half the scientists that work for NASA, like the people in the government like roll their eyes at them, even though they're like government. Right. You know what I mean? I love NASA. Yeah. And so I'm like, if they did fake it, that's so slay of NASA. And if they didn't, so slay of NASA. Right. So I'm like, that's so cool. But also it's just like, it's so weird to think that like, we could have just like been fucking fooled like that.
I know.
I forget like what the rest of the things were. I think that was mostly it, but there was like no shadows, no stars.
Like think about it. If we have been doing film for a while, it's really not that hard. No. You know what the moon looks like. You know the background's black. You know that you just need some lights and a spacesuit. Like, it's also, not the hardest
the 60s.
set in the world.
Again, nobody's questioning anything.
Yeah.
There was a time, it's hard to think, especially as two people who question everything. Right. There was a time where people just didn't ask questions.
Oh, I know.
Like,
it was
the government could tell them anything and nobody asked questions. That's like, and now somebody will say something and you have 500 people on Twitter being like, this is actually misinformation. Yeah. So
everyone asks questions in our generation.
You could literally be like, we're on the moon. It's like, why wouldn't we be on the moon? Right. And it's like, I don't know, if I was in the 60s, I would probably think the same thing.
So think about that. That's like, how you're right, because our older generation, like our parents' generation, our grandparents' generation, they keep everything to themselves.
That's why they get mad when we ask questions. Yes. They're like, can you just fucking do it? Yeah. And I'm like, no, why? Like, give me a fucking reason.
They push everything down. They do the silent treatment. If they don't like something, they'll just ignore you and passive aggressive.
It's weird.
No one's really passive aggressive in our generation. No. We demand answers out of everything. Which I love that for us.
I do. It's amazing. For us. It's amazing.
Be curious.
I think that's honestly single-handedly one of the best traits you can have. And not to a fault, obviously. There are people who do it to a fault, which is they're just annoying. And question everything and just question you and doubt you or whatever. Yeah, and it's just fucking annoying. Yeah. But not obviously, and I'm just literally talking about the extreme versions where people are like, nothing's real, or we're in a video game, and it's like, yeah, that's fun, but like also just like calm down.
No, but it is
also,
trippy
but
when
it
you
is.
think about.
It is.
Are we in a simulation?
No. What do you
It's
think about
very
simulation
possible.
theory? Because that's
Okay.
that's a
Have you seen the movie
conspiracy.
The Jim Carrey movie?
Yes.
We talked about this.
Truman Show.
Trip me up. Literally just
Crazy.
trip me up.
We watched it in English
I was
class.
watching that high.
We
Dude, and
watched
I
it
was
in my
like,
fucking
yo.
English class.
See,
That was the first time I saw it.
First time I saw it though was like a year ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm already like very
Yeah.
like into that stuff. Now you make me watch that
That shit
movie,
was
and I was
weird.
like,
That shit was weird.
oh
What was
my
it for?
God.
Like experimentation?
They were
Yeah.
experimenting on him. I forget why, but something happened in his life to make him. They wanted to experiment. I can't remember, but no, that blew my mind. And then I'm like watching the ending unfold, and I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah, it's
like
crazy.
holy-
When he like rips the. Oh my God, it's crazy.
And then there's multiple movies like that. Like the one I just saw in the theater, well, like 6 months ago, like Don't Worry, Darling. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
With Harry Styles?
Yes.
That tripped me up so
That was kinda
bad
crazy.
to the point where I sat there for like 5 minutes after and I was like, I'm not okay.
Here's one of those things. Here's
Like-
the thing about like the existential like conspiracy theories. I think I'm like a little bit too comfortable with whatever, like my reality, right? So like
I'm not.
so I think that's what it is. Like I'm a little bit too grounded to even care. I again entertain them and think it's kind of fun to think about, right? Where people are like, well, we could just be the Sims. And like if you're super intelligent like AI, you wouldn't necessarily know that and you would feel like everything's real. So like whatever, you could be that. There's multiple edges of
Right.
simulation theory where people think that we could be in a video game or we could be literally a small group being tested on or like whatever, right? And so I think about those things and I think they just don't freak me out because I'm like, well, I wake up day to day and it doesn't affect me. So this
Right.
is my reality. If you think about the Sims even, like say the Sims like think they're real, right? And
Yeah.
they're in there. I mean, when I log on to play, they are eating and going to work and doing whatever. So to them, it is real.
Right.
So I'm just like, in my head, it doesn't freak me out so much because I'm just like, okay, well, whatever. Like,
So,
I'm here
yeah.
for whatever time I don't think I feel super connected to the physical world.
Right.
And I'm working all the time to feel less connected to it
Right.
because of just my spirituality practice.
Right.
And I'm still more connected than I would like to be. And every once in a while, I like get existential, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But still, I'm just
Yeah.
like, yeah, like dying doesn't freak me out. Like,
Well, I wish I was more connected to the earth. I wish I didn't
Yeah.
have to work so much so I could explore
Mhm.
everything that earth has to offer, obviously. Because think about this. Even if you stopped working right now, you could not even visit and do everything in this world that you would want to do before you die. You could have all the money in the world. You couldn't do everything.
can't do every
Even
single
if
thing,
you
no.
have every single
so,
day.
well, doing things in the world is different. I'm like, I want to do all those things, but I'm talking about like physical world as in like, I'm not attached to like life.
Yeah. No, okay.
That sounds so suicidal. But like, I'm like, to
You're
an
just-
extent.
yeah.
I mean, obviously sometimes I get waves of being attached to life, but honestly, I take that as like as a cue that I need to be like, I need to do more spirituality practice.
Yeah.
And that being said, it's not like, oh, I don't care about life. Like, I'm
Yeah.
having fun. Like, I want to
Yeah.
have a good time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not like super scared of it coming
To an end?
to an end. Weirdly, I don't want to say it like that because it's not. That being said, I'm not like gonna. If I feel like something's if there's a killer in my house, I'm not gonna be like, oh well, I'm not attached to life, so whatever. I do want to live, but I'm not like so afraid
You're like
of death.
content.
Yes, I'm content. I'm not so afraid of death or like the lack of whatever. So I think simulation theory doesn't freak me out because I'm like, well, this is my reality.
Yeah.
So even if it's not reality, it's my reality.
Right.
So I'm just like, whatever.
So yeah, like I'm not content until I literally do everything I want to do before I die. Like
I mean,
am,
that's fair.
I'm not content with the fact that like
Yeah.
I work so much and I can't like do just
Yeah.
like I wish I had every single day to myself
Yeah.
to be able to do anything I wanted because I feel like that's what life was meant to
No,
be.
I agree. Okay,
Which
I don't know if I'm
sucks so
like
bad.
explaining like where I'm coming
No,
from.
I know.
But like
I'm just like
I agree.
piggybacking
No,
off like
but I agree with that. Like I feel the
I'm
same
angry
way.
that I can't just
I feel the same way because there's so
do
much
whatever I
do
want.
want to do.
Yeah.
And like see and like
that and
experience.
that stresses me out that I
And
won't
I
be able
love
to
that.
get to.
I think that's the difference is like I feel like I mean, not necessarily that I'm going to be able to experience it one day, but I feel like that this experience isn't, like, the human experience isn't, like,
the only experience?
Not necessarily just the only experience, but it's not, like, it's just, like, a visit. Like,
right.
I don't know how to explain, like, without literally delving into a conversation about what consciousness is.
Right.
But that can be another pod.
So, yeah, this can,
pod.
like, lead into those spots. So I don't get, like, I'm not, like, paranoid to the fact where I'm a little paranoid, but it's only when I think about it. It's only when I sit here and think about, the government fucking us up, conspiracies, like, all this shit about, like, simulation. Like, it's only when I think about it. I don't, like, wake up and I'm not, like, paranoid every single day. And, like, but I definitely, as soon as I think about it, I get in a really weird, like, not okay space.
I get what you mean.
Like, after that movie, because, like, it's an hour-and-a-half movie of fucked up shit. And, like, that whole drive home from the movie theater, I just didn't talk the whole car ride.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, I don't even want to speak. I'm not okay. I felt close to tears. I felt really weird. Like, I was just not okay because my brain had just processed something that, like, is not a normal thing to just sit there and be like, is this I'm already stressed out about just normal shit in life. I was like, I don't need to sit here and also think that, like, everything can be fucked and fake. Like, that's fucking it's when I watch a movie or I sit there and I dive in and think about it that I'm, like, detached. That's what it was. I felt really detached and just, like,
you don't know the truth.
Disassociated. I was just like,
I feel like that makes a lot of sense.
Disassociating is a really weird feeling.
Oh,
I don't know how much you do it or like whatever. But if I dissociate, it's weird as shit. Like,
it's odd. It's definitely, it doesn't happen to me super, I mean, I feel like it doesn't happen to me as often as I feel like it happens to other people. Yeah. Or some other people, not all other people. I'm so different. No, but it definitely has happened to me before, and it does happen, like, periodically, and I'll be like, what is this? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not consistent. I would like to be more detached from, like, the physical, because I feel like
so you want to be more disassociated?
No, not
more detached.
Okay, when I say detached, I don't mean disassociated.
Yeah,
I mean,
disassociated is like,
it is a detached, but in a different way.
But in almost like a bad.
I'm talking about attachment to, like, you know how, like, if you're necessarily, like, afraid of death. This is perfect because we're going into the death conversation now. Yeah. If you're, like, afraid of death, you're kind of, if you really think about what you're afraid of losing your friends, your family, your experiences, your memories, like, shit like that. Yeah. And obviously those are all things that you're attached to, which is, like, normal to be attached to. Yeah. And I am attached to those things. But at the same time, I know that I am not those things. Right. So I'm detached from them in that way. Okay, I'm attached to them emotionally still. Yes. But not so emotionally to the point where I'm like I feel like in the least weird way possible, like, this is the body that my consciousness is occupying right now. Yeah. And so I am it because this is what's happening. So I am myself and I don't feel dissociated in a way where I'm like, oh, I'm not even me. But I feel like this is just temporary. Yeah. And I understand the idea of impermanence, and I'm comfortable with the idea of impermanence, and it has not always been that way. And it isn't always that way. There's random days where I remember for a long time, I would be like, there's days where I'm not afraid of dying, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to die someday. Like, whatever. And then there's other days where I'm like, I'm gonna fucking die someday. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. And since, I don't know if it's fully connected to my spirituality practice. I feel like it is, but I don't know for sure. Maybe it just has come from, like, me getting older and whatever. But I've started to kind of detach from that. And, like, now I've just kind of more, like, the more time goes on, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm fine with that. Like, it is... And it might be the time like has to end. Growing thing. And yeah, no, 100%. And it's not even, like, in a suicidal. That's why I'm like, I always say to people, guys, I'm okay. No, the only times I ever, like, want to be dead is if I'm super, super sad, which I have not been in a really, really long time. Yeah. Or super fucking happy, which is so weird to say, but it's like, there's times where I'll be so happy. Like, and I'm bliss thing? Like, yes. Let me explain this to you. Okay, that's weird. Let me explain to you. I've not gotten where I'm just so happy. Actually, do you get what I mean? Actually, okay, yeah. Actually, something just popped in a time that popped in my brain, okay? It was like,
the end of May, I was in Florida at the Rockville Festival, and I was watching Deftones, and I was the perfect amount of drunk. In my mind, for the first time ever, my mind was like, I'd be so content if I died right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, why did I just think?
Yeah.
Why is my brain thinking?
It's one of those things. So that's literally my state of mind.
But it only happens
almost all the time.
See,
almost
mine
all the
only
time.
happens
Not
when,
all the time yet. I'm still working on it. I would say I'm like maybe from any given period of time, I'm in a range from like 65 to 75% okay with it. Like at any given moment. I would say even at most maybe 80 or 90 sometimes.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen all the time. That doesn't happen all the time, and I'm still working on it. But basically what it is like I'm so happy that I'm just like I reach this elevation where I'm just like, this is all so frivolous.
It's
we are all like
reaching enlightenment.
Yes.
Like nirvana.
I'm not like fully enlightened, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm just a little.
Well, you're still in your young 20s, and we don't expect you to
whatever
already reach.
I'm also just like a little human. Like what? But I think I've like so removed myself. I understand how small I am, not in a bad way, but in a good way almost. Where I'm like, there's so much. This earth has existed for so long, and it's going to exist. Well, hopefully for so long, and
hopefully our lifetime, yes.
And I'm just like a blip. And I'm experiencing life through my body for a blip in time. And it's going to matter for me for this amount of time. And then it's going to be over. And then it's going to be the next generation.
Right.
And I'm comfortable with that because I'm just like, I don't know what about it is. Like, I'll get a state of so happy where I'm just like, we just don't know what's going on. Like, I just feel like I look at the world and like society. I'm just like, we are doing it so wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm like, not saying like I want to die, but I'm like, death will be bliss. Almost. Not all the time, but like, you know what I mean?
What if it's not? That's what I'm saying.
My thing is I feel like I just know it is.
Yeah.
And not even in a way of like, I'm scared if it's not, but like, why wouldn't it be?
So what do you...
when I was in my philosophy class, because I love philosophy, I want to read so much more philosophy, but my class, we touched on death for a little bit, and there's this one philosopher, and I forget his fucking name. But basically, I think it's Epicurus. I think. Okay. Don't quote me, though. But basically, he says, there's no real reason to be afraid of death because you weren't afraid of pre-life, right?
Yeah.
If you think back to what it was like to not exist, you can't.
You can't.
Right. So it obviously wasn't bad. So it's not like, I think the reason we get so afraid of death is that we think of as ourselves as continuing on.
Right.
When that's not how it's going to be.
But what if
we're not like sitting in a dark box. Like some people are like, I'm scared that it's going to be nothing, right? Like just black. I'm like, girl, you're not going to be alive. So you're not just going to experience blackness.
Right. No, you're not.
You're just going to dissipate.
Right.
And then also just scientifically like knowing like energy can't be created or destroyed.
Right.
So I always have existed. It
has to,
You and me
have
have always
somewhere.
existed.
Yeah.
And we always will exist. We are just conscious right now, if that makes sense.
No, it does. Let me
We just
process.
happen to fall into consciousness.
Right.
At this given point. But we
our
particles. Also, we are actually made out of stardust. I'm sorry, if you Google it, we are actually made out of dead star. We are made out of 95% of the same material that dead stars are made out of. We are stardust.
That's why they say, like, when you die and you spread your ashes, like, to go back to your natural form or whatever, ash.
I feel like it's just going to be like, that was fun.
But, like, what if... okay. Yeah, so we were nothing, now we're into consciousness, and then we go into nothing. But what if... The thing that's weird is when you're born... and you're growing up, you know absolutely nothing because you're taught consciousness. So I'm nervous that somehow that we've obtained consciousness now, if it somehow rolls over. I just don't know.
I don't feel like it rolls over. I feel like, and if it did, it's one of those things. You ever heard about those kids that like... Wait, does this stop at 50 minutes? We might have to do part 2.
10 more minutes and then we can do part 2 if we...
So... those kids that like have like, what is it fucking called, where like, I don't know, parents basically, it's a thing, like some parents will like have a 2-year-old and all of a sudden their 2-year-old's like, oh, like, I'm Maggie, like, I died in a fire, right? Like, and you're like,
Oh, yeah,
what the fuck is that, right?
Cases of, like...
It's, like, reincarnation.
Okay. Same with, like, kids connecting with ghosts. Or, like,
with ghosts. But, like, this specifically is, like, reincarnation, right? Like, so this 2-year-old, like, little blonde white kid is telling you, like, his name's Maggie, and he died in a fire in Philly.
Right.
And you're like, bitch, you're 2. Like, you couldn't have heard that anywhere.
Yeah.
So you look it up, and you find this, like, black woman named Maggie. This is, like, a real story, but I don't have the real names. These are not real names in real locations. But I remember this, like, basically this, like, little white kid was, like, talking, like, saying random facts. His parents, like, looked it up.
Right, and it was, like,
they found, like, the whole story of this woman who died, and her name, and everything. And they were like, he just wouldn't have found out about that. Yeah. And it happened years before he was born. So it's when, and then as he got older,
that's weird too.
As he got older, it just kind of dissipated. So I feel like that might be a phenomenon. I don't think it's always necessarily a thing, but it might be a phenomenon. This is where it gets into, like, consciousness and what do you believe consciousness is. And the best way I can explain what I think consciousness is like going back to the idea that energy cannot be created or destroyed, right? So a lot of times in, like, yoga or in spirituality, we talk about source, right? So literally, this sounds so stupid, but just think of, like, this ball of energy of, like, source energy.
Yep.
And when somebody is born, literally just random energy kind of, like, flows into them.
Right.
And they become conscious. When you die, you go back to source. Okay. And I think it's Hinduism that has this idea, and that's why, like, reincarnation is a thing. But they have a thing, their idea of reincarnation is, like, you can also be punished in your reincarnation.
Yeah,
because they have the caste system. So
what is it? Your karma?
Yeah, your karma.
Dharma.
So they have a thing where they have the caste system, right? So it's like, you're on the bottom tier, you're on the top tier, you're somewhere in the middle. So apparently if you, like, do really good in your middle tier,
if you do your
you'll
dharma,
reincarnate.
You get good karma.
Yeah, you'll reincarnate in a higher tier. I don't believe that. I believe in reincarnation, not in the sense of how they do, where it's, like, the same consciousness. I was talking to a friend about this, and they kind of, like, blew my mind, because I was always thinking, like, kind of the same. And because there's an idea of, like, the soul is a learning, right? Like, you come to Earth to learn lessons, to be enlightened, and then you go back to source, and then eventually you reach enlightenment and you stay in that.
But is that where, if you don't learn your lesson in your life, then you keep getting reincarnated till you learn your lesson?
But in my mind, yes, or until, like, different lessons, right?
Yeah.
So in my mind, this makes so much sense. Because do you, like, ever, like, see people or think about certain people who, like, kind of live their whole life, like, not really... I don't want to, like, say it in a judgmental way. I'm not judging. Like, the whole point is to learn. But, like, they kind of live their whole life in, like, a certain type of way and maybe learn a lot of lessons, but never got to, like, implement them. Never changed. They died, they come back in their next life. They've internalized those lessons. Like, I feel like there's a reason for everything, but not in the way that Christians believe that there's a reason for everything. And I don't feel like it's on purpose. I don't feel like everything's already planned out. I feel like there's a reason for everything in the sense of, like, if you look back, you can sort of, like, anytime, like, fucking in the middle of when I literally graduated high school, moved to New York that same day, didn't know anybody, was depressed as fuck, missed all my friends, watched them all have fun over Snapchat that summer while I was just in a house. Yeah. Didn't know anybody, didn't have a job yet, felt like a loser. And I look back and I'm like, if I didn't have that time alone, if I stayed in Michigan,
you might have never.
I don't think I'd be the same person.
Yeah, no. Well, no, you wouldn't.
I definitely wouldn't, but, like, not even a little bit. Like, I think I'd be really different. Yeah. Like, I think I'd be really different.
It's so weird that people think that your life is exactly planned out, like, whatever. Because the butterfly effect.
Yeah,
if you literally change one thing,
that's why I tell people when I read their tarot,
how is it going to end up the same?
I'm like, I'm not predicting your future. Yeah. I'm letting you know what's going on based on what's happening right now, and that could change.
But it's weird that people are like, my life's planned out. Yeah. Like, I'm going to marry this person, yada, yada. But then, like, what if you get divorced, and then you marry someone else, and then you have kids with someone else, and you're doing things that you wouldn't ever have done before, person.
Right?
Like,
that's why
how
I'm like,
can it end up the same still?
It's a whole fucking thing. So, yeah, my thing is, like, I think consciousness comes back to be enlightened. And obviously life is so short. you can't be enlightened in one lifetime.
Right.
So you've lived many lives. So I
Like,
do believe in, like, past lives. But
right,
I don't
because-
necessarily know, or... I know that people, like, look back and, like, have past life regressions, and I'm not discounting that. I haven't experienced that, so until I experience it, I really can't speak on it. But I don't know if I necessarily believe in that.
Right.
But I believe, because I don't know if you can access it, because I think the whole point is that you can't. You kind of come knowing what you know, right?
Right.
And I don't know, when you think about, like, your ancestors even, like, my mom lived a completely different life than I lived.
Mm-hmm.
Like, her shit was fucked.
Right.
And she brought me up in a completely different way, and I'm like, if I was just born into her body, I would have lived a completely different life.
Yeah.
Like, a crazy different life, and that's one generation
Right.
above me. Not
So-
even a full one either, because she had me when she was 17.
Right.
So, like...
So, that makes sense in the fact that you said, like, you can't reach enlightenment in your lifetime because there's no way you could fix your entire self and make yourself, like,
so you come back.
Perfect.
You learn the lesson. Maybe you spend your entire life in abusive relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
In abusive relationships. I don't know exactly. I'm not literally claiming how to know it all, but just for example, say you spend your whole life in abusive relationships, you die unhappy, whatever. In your next lifetime, I don't know, maybe something about you is just like, I'm not dealing with that.
Or maybe you start off with an abusive
Or,
relationship,
yeah,
but then
once,
you take a 180
and you take a 180 and something about you is just headstrong where you're like, I'm not dealing with that. And you don't. Not to say that people in abusive relationships are dealing with it.
Yeah,
because it's way more complex than that. But you know what I mean? Like, maybe you just come off the type of person that's like, I'm not even dealing with a little bit of, like, I don't like you.
Right.
Right? So that's just, that lesson has been learned, but now you have a different lesson you need to learn, right?
Right.
Maybe you're awful with spending.
Right.
But you won't take, like, a shitty relationship.
Right.
So now you're really happy in a nice relationship, but, like, have awful spending habits and need to figure that out. Or maybe have a kid early, and that's your whole thing is, like, trying to learn how to take care of yourself while taking care of somebody else. And
then maybe the next life you don't have kids
literally,
or something.
Exactly.
Like,
that's my point. And I think about all the time, like, what my lessons are to learn in this life. Like, what?
And what ones you think you might have already learned, or if this is your first one.
Girl.
Or something. Like,
I'm not even
weird.
gonna fuck around.
Like something you're...
I think a lot. I'm like, I definitely don't think this is my first life.
God.
I feel like, I don't know if it's my last.
But
I feel like it's fucking.
Oh,
I feel
God.
like I've unlocked it. Like, I feel like I got the secret.
Oh my
Like,
God.
I
or
feel
think
like
about what was that guy? Not Buddha. He wasn't a real person, right? Who was like their head of like? Who's the really like Zen peaceful guy that was like that you would go and see and he'd just be like,
like a monk?
No, because it was like
I feel like
it was like a Buddhist thing. But was he real? Anyways, whether he was Buddha or not, whoever was like the really Zen, knowledgeable, peaceful guy that you would go to, that was definitely his last life.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like,
and think
he
about
reached
the
it.
think about
like,
the imprint he left on the world.
He reached
He's
it.
up there.
But he did all of his
And when I say up there, I'm
before.
not talking heaven. I'm just talking about source. Wherever the fuck this energy that we have comes from.
Yeah.
And my friend, when I was talking to him, because we had like we literally got high, watched a nature documentary, and then I was like, "What do you think about consciousness?" And he's
like,
we start talking about it, and he was like, and I tell him my idea of like things we come back and like leave and come back, and he was like, "Well, what about this?" He was like, "What if all the energy gets mixed up, and then sends out, and then comes up, gets mixed up, and then sends out?" And I thought about that, and that fucking blew my mind. And it's hard to blow my mind now because I literally entertain, like I said, I entertain everything. I've thought about almost every scenario, but I was like, I am a mixture of different people.
Oh my God.
And then maybe those situations, like a 2-year-old remembers their death, is like a weird phenomenon where you don't get mixed up, but you just like shoot right back down.
Right.
Because I'm like, that would make a lot of sense, but...
Oh my God.
I know, but I also think like the soul thing of like you learning lessons makes a lot of sense, but I'm also like, that would just mean you're the same thing. And honestly, energy is just a bunch of particles. How would it all stay together?
You're right, but it says
I'm thinking scientifically too. I'm like fucking...
What's the things about, it says that like if you remember certain stuff, or deja vu is your past life, you remembering like certain stuff of your past life. Like
Deja vu is weird. I feel like I have. We definitely need to go.
Yeah, we
part
definitely
two.
have to.
I knew this podcast was gonna go into a fucking whirlwind.
See, all it started was we were talking about conspiracies,
No,
and then it
literally.
snowballed into this.
It always comes back to
like-
consciousness. I mean, I don't know if it's a me thing. I might be the one always doing it, but I always am like, what do you think about consciousness?
Because you could talk.
What do you think about it? Because you can talk about it forever.
There's so many. There's thousands of different scenarios it could be.
My God.
Like it just doesn't even. There's not just one thing that could be, and that's why
I can't.
Low key, sorry, like Christians or like religions, they're one track minded.
I'm like, y'all.
Like you don't think there's another possibility?
I feel like a lot of
you
them
think
are.
that's the only way?
I think a lot of them are in their first life.
Yeah,
Or first
probably.
or second, third. I don't know how many lives you get, but
All right, we're gonna continue this in the next podcast. Make sure you tune in. Hey, it's Zori and Kylie, and we're back with the podcast. This one's piggybacking off the one that we just recorded. It was all about it was first conspiracies, then it went into consciousness, and it was a deep one.
Yeah.
So, we're currently drinking some wine. It's
Some
wine and
Josh wine.
podcast. We're also having some snacks, so if it's crunchy,
Yeah.
that's why.
You can eat when I'm talking. I'll eat when you're talking.
Yeah,
vice versa,
literally.
You know what I mean? So, where did we leave off? Consciousness.
Basically
what is
death.
it? No,
But,
literally death. So
Consciousness and death and everything intertwined.
I was talking to you about, my work, my spirituality work with death.
Yeah.
The death meditation, which is
Oh yeah.
iconic
Yeah.
and amazing.
You wanted to do a podcast on that.
So essentially, death meditation is, and I'm speaking from somebody who has not studied death meditation, but has only done it. So I don't know all the origins. I'm pretty sure it's Buddhist, as everything that's
probably
amazing is.
I know.
But yeah. So basically, death meditation is a way of coming to terms with and being more comfortable with your impermanence, because death is inevitable. That's the one thing we all do is die and get born. And a lot of people aren't comfortable with it, which is totally understandable and really
Scary.
valid.
Yeah,
Because it's scary as fuck. Because one thing nobody knows is what death is gonna,
happens.
Yeah. So I think, and we talked about this in my philosophy class too, which is like, nobody's afraid of death. Really, you can't be afraid of death because, again, like, you don't know what, like, it's not. So you're more afraid of dying. Or a lot of people are scared of, like, dying being painful or whatever, right?
Which sometimes it probably can
I
be.
know. I want to talk about, I know this is a show, so it's not that, like, reputable of a source, but, like, there's multiple accounts where, like, people have talked about, like, I've heard Reddit stories of, like, where people will ask, like, anybody who's had a near-death experience or, like, died and came back, tell your story. Like, what's it about?
Right.
The way that my brain has just, like, I know exactly what death is going to be like because I've heard all of these people's stories, and why do they all line up? Every single one lines up. All the ones from Reddit, all the ones, like, I watched a show called, like, I Died and Came Back or some shit.
Is it the one with, like, do all their stories line up in a sense where it's, like, the white room, the 7 minutes
not
of,
necessarily.
like, your flashback life?
That is a little bit different, and which is also very interesting because I noticed that the people who believe in God kind of see God, but I feel like that's because they believe in Him, if that makes any sense.
So
you're
seeing Him because you're focused on it.
And that's also as you're dying. That's not when you're dead, right? So that's as you're dying. So the people, a lot of the times, like, one of the Reddit stories I heard was, like, this guy was in an awful mugging. Like, the guy, like, literally was, like, stabbing and whatever.
Oh, my God.
And, like, he broke into his house. Actually, it wasn't a mugging. Yeah, he broke into his house. It was a burglary. And, like, stabbed the guy, and he was like, I don't want to die alone or whatever. And he was, like, terrified. But
the burglar or the person?
The person getting robbed.
Right.
And he said, like, he started to, like, pass out. And, like, not, like, pass out, like, unconscious the way you would pass out if you faint, but, like, literally, like, start to die. Like, he was starting to die, and he felt it. And basically, he said he was so scared, but it just felt, like, okay. Like, it felt, like, blissful, and, like, he just knew it was going to be fine. And it was actually,
or
like
accepting it,
the most like peaceful thing he's felt ever. And there was another guy,
being stabbed?
not as he was being stabbed, but like as he was laying there after.
Right. Okay.
So then the other one was a mugging, and this guy got like mugged in an alley, and apparently like, he was like kind of left for dead, like laying there, and he felt the same thing. He was like, oh shit, like this is it, like I'm about to just go. And he said like he was so scared, but he felt like in the moment as he was like kind of shutting down, he felt like just light, like not like
high,
not like seeing light, but
like
just kind of like ultimate bliss, like ultimate, just like nothing. Like, I mean, obviously his body hurt in the moment, but like as he was like kind of fading, that went away, and he was just kind of like.
And those are the only people that can testify, obviously, because
the people who are near,
died
and other people
say
too say that they felt like it just didn't feel. Obviously, you're scared of dying. Like almost all of them say that they're scared in the moment or upset in the moment because they know they're like, I don't want to die, right? But then the actual feeling of it feels like I wish I could find the Reddit.
Well, no, it makes sense.
But like the feeling is just so peaceful and
it makes
like
sense.
It felt like they were going home.
Do you think it's because we're supposed to die, we're meant to, so our body almost kind of understands the assignment? Like
I feel like we are not.
Knows
that's what I'm
supposed to
saying.
happen.
Like that's what I mean by being detached. I'm not attached to like, oh my god, my life is gonna end, because I don't feel like I'm gonna end. Just this period of life is going to end. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So.
And do you think it's also your brain kind of coping with the fact that you're dying? So like,
I mean, maybe
just giving
most
you an
of these
ultimate feeling.
Maybe, but like, I don't know. A lot of these people sound like they're already distressed about it, and then they feel it, and then they're like, "Oh, this is actually not half bad."
So did they talk about like their after, like if they're different? It would be nice to have
a lot of them have
video.
a new like lease on life. A lot of them like. I feel like just say that they like appreciate everything and like whatever. But my number one thing is like I feel like that it is like home, right? Wherever we go, we came from somewhere. We're going home. So like this girl that I follow, Daily Victorian, she posted a video, I think I told you about this, where she was doing, all her videos are like on a yoga mat, and she's talking and doing yoga as she's like saying it to you. And she was like, what do you hope death feels like? I hope death feels like when you spent like, you had a really good sleepover with a friend. And you wake up the next morning and your mom pulls in the driveway and the car is running and the dog's in the car, like, and you don't want to leave because you had so much fun. And your mom opens the door and she's like, it's time to go home. And you're just like, I don't want to, can I stay just a little bit longer? And she's like, I'm glad you had fun, but it's time to go home. And you just go home.
Damn.
And I was like, oh my god, that's incredible. And then she did a thing where she was like, what do you guys want death to feel like? I put one in.
Yeah.
Mine's so funny. I told this to somebody else and they cracked up. But I was like, I hope death feels like when I'm listening to a song I really love, like, and it's about to be over. So I look at the cue to see what's next, and I see that Santeria is coming on. Because something about that song just sends me into like it's not even like my favorite song ever, but Santeria just makes me feel like everything is going to be okay in life. So like, yes, I love the song that's playing right now so much, and I don't want it to be over, but the next thing in the queue is just so good.
I feel like
I want it to be like that.
I feel like mine would be fall and Halloween. Like that whole vibe, that very just like warm, cozy vibe. Oh my god, if the next life was just Halloween and fall all the time, like if that was my home.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, this life is awesome, obviously. Not for everybody, but like, just in general, life is awesome. I also don't see, I think that's the one thing that, like, religion has wrong, is viewing life as inherently a gift.
Right.
Like, I don't believe life is inherently a gift. I feel like it just is. Like, I'm not saying it's a burden either. It definitely can be. It's a fucking pain in the ass.
Well, yes.
But I think it depends on the life you're living, obviously.
Yes.
But
and you can change that, which is
you
great.
can, definitely. I mean, to an extent. There's some people that don't, like, kids who literally were, like, abused by their parents and never even got a chance. But, like, I'm talking about, like, I don't know, just in general, like, life doesn't, I don't view it as a gift, and I feel like that aids me in my life, right?
Right.
I also don't view it as a curse, but I feel like it aids me in my life because I am able to see things for what they are and not just like, oh, well, this is happening because of this. Oh, this is happening because of that. Oh, it's all going to be okay. Like, I believe that, but at the same time, I'm not like, that's happening. If something's shitty in the moment, I allow myself to feel it and be like, yeah, this is shitty. And this is happening. And same with other shit. And like, let it pass. And I'm like, this is what life is right now. And it can suck, but it also can be so beautiful. The whole reason we even know what beauty is because we know what shittiness is. And vice versa. So the fact that like beauty or anything that we enjoy existing that's really fucking cool. So I'm like, yeah, this life, I'm not gonna be like pessimistic and be like, life isn't a fucking gift, like fuck that. Like, there's amazing things, but like, it's kind of goes full circle back into manifestation, where it's like, the more you look for good things, the more you'll see good things. Right. Obviously, you won't only see good things all the time, ever. That can't be, I literally was like on the road to Philly the other day. We stop at a red light right before we get on the highway. My mom's talking about something. I'm listening to her. I look over. There's just all these little flowers, wildflowers on the side of the highway. And I was like, oh my God, those are so pretty. And it's like one of those things where like people who don't get
it's just so little, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, people who don't get it are going to be like, oh, you're a tree hugger. Like, you're so fucking like, yo, it's so beautiful that there's flowers there. But it's one of those things where it's like, if you actually sit and appreciate like the beauty that is in your everyday life, you will feel it. And it's the same vice versa, right? Whenever I'm having issues, I'm like, this is so fucking annoying that I even have to deal with this. Because I'm supposed to be naked in the woods. Like, just having a good time. So I get bitter all the time. I'm not some like fully like, everything's okay. But I think all the time. I think it's because it's I'm able to see both.
You're very like, I'm like this, maybe you're like this. It's very full send in both directions. So like, if I see something really beautiful, I could sit there forever and just be like, oh my God, this is the best thing I'm seeing. Like fireworks or a sunset. That most people would just be like, oh, look at it for a second.
Or like, it's pretty. Like, I just sit and enjoy. And I think meditation is one of those things that really helps you fully enjoy those things. So, because like, I remember when I was in my meditation class, like, one of the things that I like told myself that I would do for mindfulness, because like, I feel like everybody's perception, except for like obviously crazy, amazing practitioners on meditation, is so fucked because it's just been switched. Like, I just am like, okay, so I'm just gonna sit here and go om and like try to figure it out. I'm bored. Like, but mindfulness is something you can do all day, every day, and that's what I kind of do, because I can't tell you the last time, well, actually, it was like just last week, because I haven't done it in so long, but before that, I could not tell you the last time I sat down and like, just meditated. But that being said, I'm mindful every single day of my life. So, like, one of the girls in my meditation class specifically brought up, like, washing her hands, right? She was like, I never realized that I just, like, do it so fast and, like, whatever, right? It's something so little. She was like, I have taken back washing my hands because I just rushed through it and, like, whatever, call it a day. And she was like, so I became more mindful about it. Pay attention to my breathing. I'm getting, like, every finger. I'm washing my hands. I'm, like, really making sure I get under every fingernail. Like, just being detail-oriented. And, like, I'm washing my hands right now. Not, like, oh, I just went to the bathroom, so I gotta wash my hands real quick. That's not, like, wrong. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but it's just something, like, to think about, right? Ways to be mindful versus, because you don't even think about it, right? Like, I don't either. I do the same thing all the fucking time. I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, we're calling it a day. Or even brushing your teeth.
I was gonna say that.
Brushing my teeth is one where I'm just like, and then I'm like, every once in a while I'll be like, you are brushing your teeth right now.
Sometimes and like, I can just sit there for
also,
a minute.
The whole time like, you're doing it, you're probably thinking about a bunch of other fucking things. Your brain just goes and goes. So like, to sit and be like, I'm gonna get this tooth. This tooth is my focus right now.
Make sure
and
you
like
get all
fully
the way
do it.
Back,
that is meditation. Tongue. That's a part of meditation. So that's just mindfulness. So my thing was, anytime I saw it, because it was like right in the fall of like 2021, I was like, there was a lot of monarch butterflies around campus. So I was like, anytime I see a butterfly and I'm walking on campus, I'm going to follow the butterfly with my eyes until I literally can't see it anymore. And just enjoy how pretty it is, like floating in the air. And I would do it. And I just was so much happier all around as a person. Not just from that one thing. Obviously, I was meditating too, but like, just so much happier when you're just like, this butterfly is so fucking pretty. And like, I just live in a world where I can just see monarch butterflies. Like, that is so amazing and
that's
like,
what
beautiful.
I do. I do that a lot with the sunset. I
Yeah.
do it at the beach, like the real ocean, the real beach, like
just listening to waves.
God,
I feel like that's one thing I would do is just like listen.
Yeah, and then
just mindfulness is my
do
favorite because I struggle to just like sit down and
Yeah.
meditate. Like once I actually do it, I'm fine, but like I just don't ever want to
struggle
do it.
to get to that.
Yes,
point. But it's also, that's where it comes with where I'm like full blown in either direction. Either I could sit there and watch and appreciate something for hours, or I could sit there and bitch about things for hours. And it's like I get so stuck in like the extreme of things that I don't know how to like not be extreme with them.
It's literally a practice.
Yeah.
Like it's literally.
But I'm like, I got that one down.
And it's
the
not
good
easy.
one down,
Yeah,
but not
no.
the bad
That's
one.
what I'm saying. Like, man, like spirituality seems so easy that when you tell somebody to just like take a deep breath or like whatever, you seem like a fucking asshole. Because you're like,
but take
I
a deep
am
breath.
really dealing with like $80,000 in debt, and you're gonna tell me to take a deep breath. But like, be fucking for real. I'm sorry. I honestly think the impermanence thing, I've also used it. I think that's also one of the things that, like, again, and not in a suicidal way at all, but, like, one of the things that helped me kind of come to terms with death is I'm like, if I'm ever struggling, I'm like, well, it's not forever.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, it's all going to be over someday.
You're like, at first you're pissed, and then you're like, well.
I'm like, well, like, I always, like, make a joke like when I ate the raspberry out of your backyard the other day, and, like, Chris was like, oh my God, like, what if it's, like, poisonous? I was like, well. I was like,
me, I was like, oh my God, if it's poisonous.
I was like, well, fucking see. I was like, I mean, obviously I don't want to die from a fucking poison berry, that being said, but like,
you're like, that's so
at the end of the day, I was like, well, I mean, the worst that happens is I just don't have to pay my fucking tuition anymore.
That reminded me of the movie with Jim Carrey, Yes Day, or something. Have you seen that?
Yes, ma'am.
Or Yes
Well, you have to say
Man.
yes to everything?
Yes.
Oh, I love that movie.
He makes a
I saw that
decision
movie
to
not too
just
long
be
ago.
like, I'm gonna say yes to everything.
Oh my
and then
God.
good things like start really coming his way.
That movie
that's
is
like
such
a manifestation movie.
That's such a good movie for manifestation, because I remember after I watched it, because I watched it, I think, in like 2021 or something, like 2 years ago for the first time, and I watched it with my mom.
Me too, yeah.
And I remember being like, because I knew about the movie for so long, but I just was like, this is so fucking good. I was like, this is so good. Mm-hmm. Not like you should literally do that, obviously, but like, people are so close off. And I consider myself like a yes woman. Like I always say, my number one.
No, you are. You remind me of
I'm like, I'm a down ass bitch. Like if you tell me like, let's go to this thing, I'll go.
Yeah.
Cause like I want, like, it's a new experience, it's a new thing, and because of that mindset, I have experienced so many things, learned so many things. Like when I went to that concert in Philly, I was literally just telling myself no the whole time, because it wasn't. It was before I decided to go, because I saw the things for it, and I was like, oh, I love this artist, and she's like a small artist. Like I would love to see her on tour, but like I can't.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a car, and she's not coming to a city near me.
Right.
Whatever. Then I was like, well,
and then you have time to convince yourself.
And then I was like, well, let me look at the ticket prices. I'm like,
slow convince.
VIP $88. I was like, okay, well, when's the next time I'm going to be able to do that? Where's she going? Can I even go? I'm in school. Philly on the weekend. Okay. All right. Well, I don't have a car.
What's my excuse now?
I don't have a car. Well, why don't I get a bus ticket and make it a
train, or
make it a weekend fucking trip and enjoy the fuck out of it? Why can't I go?
Yeah.
That is my favorite thing.
Why
Oh my
can't
God.
I?
Oh my
I like
God. Why
that too.
wouldn't it work out for me? Because we spend so much time as humans, and I'm not saying like everybody who's ever struggling is struggling because they don't believe this, but like just switch your mindset and think about it. Oh, well,
like,
I hope.
Why can't you?
I've been around so many anxious people. I'm so like out of anxiety. Like I still get anxious, obviously, but I'm so out of like the mindset of anxiety that like when I'm around an anxious person, like I can fucking
feel it.
And I'm like, you need to calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
I'm like, you need to dial it the fuck back, because I can't handle this. Like you are doing too much. Like you need to just, nothing's that deep. Like it's really not that deep. So like I just don't get it, because I'm like, what if it all works out? And if you act like it's all gonna work out, it eventually just does. I swear to God.
A story.
Oh my God, tell me.
My coworker. Not like anyone being it. One of my coworkers is very anxious. She's just like, she's new.
I feel so bad for people that are
So
dealing
anxious,
with that.
but she's like in her 30s, okay? And she just like, every little thing triggers.
Mm-hmm.
It's just every little thing, like,
yeah.
and it's full blown, like, I'm gonna kill myself. And I'm like, oh.
You're like, girl.
Oh. So, like, all right. And, like, what was it? Like, today she was, like, literally she was cashing someone out. And the other guy that she already cashed out asked for a fork. There's no forks. And she, like, walks past me and mumbles to, like, get the forks. And she's like, I'm gonna kill someone. And then she's like, and then she's like, wait, did I just say that out loud? And I'm like, I just look at her and I'm like, oh, what's going on?
Go to therapy.
Like, you're in your 30s. Like, come on. Like, come on, get it together. Like,
so one for me is I was on campus after classes had ended, right? And I work in the makerspace. So our IDs still work and would let us in. So what I would do is I would go in, like at like 10 o'clock, like scan my ID, it would let me in, and I would just craft.
at night?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was there. Nobody gave a fuck. I was like, I'm gonna do it. So one night, I'm friends with like, one of my coworkers is an international student, so he's from India.
Okay.
So he's staying on campus like the summer too. And, he's staying on campus for the summer too, so he was there, and one of the nights we were hanging out, I was like, let's go to the makerspace and craft, right? So I'm like looping him in. I'm like, let's go. He's like, oh, like,
that's
okay.
illegal.
Well, first he was like, okay, like, yeah. But then there was like some event that was happening before graduation, and he was like, well, what if like the supervisor for the area is here for that event and happens to walk by? This event is in a different building. I was like, first of all, it is 10 o'clock. They don't even want to be here during their scheduled hours. Right. They are not going to be here past time for some weird fucking graduation event.
Right.
Second of all, if they were here, that is in a different building. So why would they be in this building? Third, if they were in this building, and worst case scenario, if they did walk by,
what's the worst that's going to happen?
The worst that's going to happen is they're going to come in and be like, leave.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, okay. And then I'll wait till they leave, and I'll go back in. Or even just leave.
Just leave.
It's not like I'm going to die if I don't go in. Right.
School, like.
And they're not going to fire me. He was like, you're not afraid of getting fired? I was like, well, they're not going to fire me for being in the makerspace crafting.
Right.
I'm not fucking in here.
Right.
I'm just crafting. Like, and he was literally, he would not let up. Like, he was on.
You're like, fine.
You're like,
come.
I literally, I told him that.
Don't
I told him that because, I mean, I'm not going to blame you for being anxious. If you're anxious, there's probably a reason that you're anxious. Or you probably have a reason for being an anxious person. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, you're dumb for being anxious. So I told him, I was like, listen, I understand where you're coming from, but I don't want you to ruin this for me. So if you're gonna keep going, I'm gonna ask you to do. I was like, if you're gonna keep going, I'm gonna just do this by myself. And he was like, okay.
So did he go?
He went.
Yeah.
He was still anxious the whole time.
Wow. Did it?
And I was just
did it ruin your time?
You're like, shh. I literally was like,
I
literally was like, if you're gonna hang out, be fucking cool, or you can leave. Because I'm going to be here regardless.
He's probably like...
Because, which isn't a bad thing, because I was like, listen, if you're not comfortable being here, I respect that.
Right.
If you are scared,
be here,
then you don't have to be here. But I'm not going to...
But don't be here and
then ruin it for me. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
So
like, you're not about to ruin it for me. Like, it's not happening. So I was like... So, obviously, again, that's why I say I feel bad. Like, not in a condescending or, like, what is that, like, a condescending way where I'm just like, oh, I feel bad for them. But, like, I actually, like, can imagine being in that mind. Well, one, I have, but not, like, to that extent ever. I don't think my anxiety was that bad. But, like, I've been an anxious person in the past, and I'm like, I can't imagine living in that state, elevated, all the time.
All the time.
I get why they're so tired, because that takes a lot out of your body. Yeah. And I'm just like, breathe with me. I'm like, let's do some box breathing.
Literally,
one thing I always do is think about the worst case scenario. That's why I'm like, what's worst case scenario? Somebody walks by and is like, you're not supposed to be in here.
Right.
And I'm like,
okay.
I love playing stupid. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Oh my god. I'll leave. Yeah. And then I just leave.
Yeah.
Girl, they're not going to be like, we're taking you to court. You're fired.
My keyword. I don't know.
My key let me in. I work here. Oh, I forgot something in here. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that big a deal.
It's my safe space.
He was terrified. He was like, what if she walks by? I was like, first of all, you got to think about the likelihood of that. Yeah. It is like this
Even
already.
that,
And then
just
even if it did happen,
grow some confidence.
we're not getting fired
Yeah.
over being in the maker.
You're not robbing the place.
We're not. It's that we're not doing anything wrong. We're literally just crafting in here. I'm like, if we were like trying to steal something, then okay, like
That
maybe
would
what if
be-
she walks by.
If you're like,
but we're literally, I'm.
If you're like
doing
asking
parlor
him
beats
to
and
rob
listening to
a
music.
bank,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Then
that's
okay.
different. But like,
okay.
so being around the anxiety is like, I can't fucking do it.
Yeah.
I can't fucking do it.
I have anxiety with certain things, but it's not like with that stuff, because I definitely have confidence when it comes to that stuff, that I can be like,
Yeah, just like fuck it.
yeah, like I can get away with it, like you know, I don't know.
But yeah, so do we have other creepy stuff or conspiracies?
Well,
to
did
talk
you
about?
finish talking about
What?
your death meditation?
Oh.
What was it?
Did I never
Death
even get fucking
meditation.
into it? So death meditation.
Not really.
I didn't.
A little bit.
I didn't. I just
Barely.
fucking
Touched
started.
the surface.
Okay, so death meditation is essentially, when I've experienced it, and I've done like maybe 3 different death meditations.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't do it.
No, I did it, but I'm saying I'm
Oh.
not like, and I
An
haven't
expert.
studied it.
Yeah.
So I don't know like where its origins are, or like why, or like the actual practice, but I've just done it. I haven't studied it. So basically, in all the 3 different ones that I did, it's kind of the same premise of it takes you through your death, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes you from where you are now in the present moment, which is part of meditation in the beginning of it, but it takes you from where you are now through, imagine all your material possessions. Imagine your favorite things,
Yes.
all your favorite people. Now imagine those like things gone. It's more gradual than that.
Yeah, because just
I am just like really
You're
giving.
just explaining.
I'm
how
giving
to
you the
do it.
gist.
We're not.
I'm giving
we're
you
not
the gist.
practicing
Yes.
it right
If
now.
you ever want to practice death meditation,
Do it
go
slower.
on go on YouTube and type in guided, because that's what I did. I typed in like guided death meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Do that. I'm just taking you through what like the gist of it is.
Yeah.
The gist of it is, it basically takes you, hey, you're here now, you're alive, and you have all these things. Slowly, it kind of takes you through like, okay, well, imagine this gone, and this gone, and this gone, this gone, this gone, this gone.
So you have time to like process it. Like,
You're at your funeral now. Who's there? Who isn't?
shit's weird.
It's fucking strange to think about. And then think about the reactions of the people there, who, like, really what you think that would happen. Okay.
Oh God, it's so weird to
Then
think,
it
because
then it takes you through like not existing, like your favorite things, it just not being there, and you not existing with them and whatever, right? And it really kind of, what it does for me at least, is highlight what I care about most. Obviously I care about my friends and everything, but if I'm dead, I can't really whatever. So I don't get emotional when I think about like I can't be with my friends because I'll be dead.
right.
So it's not really in that sense. Like, I'll miss them, obviously, but I can't really miss them because I'm dead. You know what I
Right.
mean?
But
So that doesn't make me emotional. The thing that makes me emotional is every single time is thinking about, weirdly, my baby pictures and all my memories. And then my mom, because she's literally my only family, and
Right.
I'm her only family. Like, it's literally just us. So thinking about her, like when it thinks, because obviously, I mean, not ideally, but like normally your parents die before you.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're taking me through a death meditation,
No.
I'm envisioning a world where I died before my mom.
So you can't picture
So-
her at your funeral.
No, I
You know.
picture her at my funeral because I died before her.
Okay.
Because I'm doing a death meditation.
Okay, right.
So,
okay.
I mean, that's just how I'm picturing it. I mean, I could picture it in a different way.
I was gonna say,
a different time.
Do your death meditation at your age now?
Yes.
Or do you do it?
I do it just
in the
now.
future,
I do
yeah.
it just fully now because I think that that's the way you're supposed to do
Because
it.
you can't picture yourself when you're 60 something.
You can't. Also, you don't know when you're going to die, respectfully.
Right.
Like, you just don't know when you're going to die, so I do it right now. So I picture my mom being at my funeral,
Mhm.
obviously, because she's my only family.
Right.
And I just picture the pain that she's feeling, and also all my memories with her, and like how I'm her only family. So that's the
Right.
only thing that really like gets me emotional. I almost always tear up
because
when it
then
comes to
she
that.
might be alone.
Yeah, I always tear up when it comes to that and all our memories together and just like my whole life with her and just like whatever. But everything else, like material items, like my phone, my Switch, like
Right.
shit like that. I actually was surprised at how much I didn't really care about, and not in like a bad way at all, but like how much I wasn't attached to those things.
Right.
I was like, oh, I don't really care that, like, I don't.
Because it wouldn't matter.
I
when
just,
you died,
was like, well, it wouldn't, but some people would still feel, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I was surprised that I didn't really feel anything. And the only thing that ever came up for me was like a box of my baby pictures. And because I was like, that's going to have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
So I just
or
was
your
like,
room, all your stuff.
It's weird to think about what life will be like when you're not there anymore.
Yeah.
So this is what it does.
Who would miss you?
And
right.
who would be there? Who would care?
Right.
That never really surprises me because I really only surround myself with people I care about and who I
Yeah.
feel like care about me.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, you have acquaintances, like, at work and shit.
Right.
I'm not talking about them.
Right.
Like, when I
They
think
wouldn't
about
go to your
when
funeral,
I think
obviously.
about who wouldn't be at my funeral, I don't get sad. I'm not like,
Yeah.
they wouldn't be there.
No,
you know,
yeah.
obviously everybody has a different life, so
You probably get more sad thinking about who would be there.
yes,
Because it affects.
no, literally,
them
because
the most.
everybody that I'm really connected to, I'm very connected to.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about that. It's going to be different for everybody depending on your life and what you prioritize and what matters to you. But that's the whole point of it, is to take you through this. So then it takes you through it. It takes you through this, like, really kind of just, like, void. And then it brings you back. And it's like, think about all this. And then, like, okay, come back into the present moment. Reconnect to your breath. Blink your eyes open. You're not dead.
Yeah.
You're not dead. You have the rest of your life. And it puts everything into perspective. There's this one video that I watched.
Prioritize on what you care about the most.
Yes.
Maybe it's all stats.
It's really, because nobody thinks about it, because we have this perception as humans that, like, we can never die.
Yeah,
we can never die.
Yeah.
Everything is around all the time. We take everything for granted,
Right.
and not in, like, a way of we're doing it on purpose, but just, like, I don't know. You wake up and you, I don't know, for example, use your Keurig like 1,000,000 times.
Right.
And that's a part of mindfulness that I was kind of talking about, where it's like you never really think about it. Like,
it's gone.
I have this until it's gone. So it's like
what if your Keurig broke one day?
Exactly. Or it just wasn't there. Like, you just
you
hit the button, or even just maybe not even realizing how much you love coffee. You just consume it. But like, maybe I just I like the flavor.
Oh God!
And like I just want to. Like, how much do you enjoy a cup of coffee? You know what I mean? So like this type of meditation. There's this one video that I watched. Where this guy was basically presenting to like a room of people, almost like a TED Talk, and in the middle of it, like this lady starts hysterically sobbing, which makes it so awkward to meditate to, because it's like this lady sobbing. But, like, also you can probably feel that she's, like, obviously, like actualized in some kind of way where she's just, like, I need to work it out with somebody.
Right.
Because a lot of people, too, like, I don't hold, like, crazy grudges. I obviously remember things. I always say, like, I don't forgive and don't forget. I just remember.
Right.
Like, I don't necessarily forgive you, but I'll remember it.
Right.
I always fucking remember it, right? But I don't hold grudges, but there's a lot of people who do.
Yeah.
And it really, that's the reason I don't hold grudges, because it affects you more than it affects anybody else.
Right, no, because
you're holding on to all that anger.
You're the only one thinking
and you're
about
the
it
only one
all
being
the time.
so angry about it all the time. So there's a lot of people like that. And it's like, think about who you would want there, who might not be there. And so I'm thinking about situations like where maybe somebody has a feud with their sibling, like they're in their 40s, and they haven't talked in like 10 years because of something so small and stupid. Again, people live very different lives than the life I live, and like everybody's so different. So that could be a situation where I'm like, this lady probably like thought about somebody or something that she just like hasn't dealt with, that she needs to deal with.
And it just
this is what brings it up, and it hit a nerve. So I'm like, this is obviously death meditation. I don't do it super, super often, but I really enjoy it when I do, because it really humbles you.
Yeah.
I think one of the ones, I don't know for sure, but I think so. I don't think I'm making this up out of nowhere, but one of the ones that I watched was like, imagine you're here and the ceiling just falls on you.
Damn.
It was so fun. But it was like, the ceiling just falls on you.
Then what? You
and
die,
then it was like,
what?
and it was like, your dad, like, who's at your funeral? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, that could just happen at any moment.
This
you never know.
is the way you're gonna die. Picture it real quick.
Well, think about the people on the submersible. They didn't think they were gonna die.
Yeah, no. Or have you ever seen the movie Donnie Darko?
Mm-hmm.
Remember when the airplane just crashes into his house? Like, why?
That movie was so dark.
That movie was so good.
So good.
I love it. It's so dark, but I love it.
Yeah.
I guess, it really is like the thing, you don't know what you have until it's gone.
I really encourage people to try death meditation, because I
people, especially who are really just not humble at all.
Yeah, the people who take everything
for granted.
And not, and like, again, you can take everything for granted and not be a bad person.
Right. No, yeah.
You know, if you're given everything in life all the time and you've never really had to struggle, really, why wouldn't you take everything for granted? Right. I would take everything for granted, but it's one of those things where you have to understand that not everything is granted. Right. Even if everything has always been granted to you, not everything is. So you have to think about what life is going to look like when it's not.
Or even just picture small things like the coffee thing, like, you know, it not working, or like, it could literally even be anything with like your car,
so miserable, like people who are so miserable. And again, it's like, I'm not blaming these people, but it's like, it really just goes to show how your mindset can change everything, because there are people in miserable situations who are very happy. Yeah. And there are people in really like rich, like my mom talks about it all the time. She's like, I don't get how like these people who are so rich are like so unhappy, and I'm like, money doesn't fix everything.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
And I'm like, you can be rich as fuck and just have a void inside your soul. Right. In the same way that you can be poor as fuck, literally struggling to get meals on the table, but happy because you have people around you to support you and like whatever. So
it's really whatever you make it.
It's really whatever you make it. And that's why I say I'm not blaming people. I'm not sitting here. If you're a miserable person who's super pessimistic and annoyed and about everything, you probably have good reason to be. Right. You probably have good reason to be. That being said, I don't think that means that you should stay in it or try to stay in it. The least you could do to help yourself is try to enjoy the little things around you. Yeah. So obviously the person working 9 to 5 who hates their cubicle job is probably waking up, pressing the Keurig and being like, yeah, this is my fucking coffee in the morning before I go to my shitty ass job and sit in the fucking stupid ass traffic. It's like, my mom gets so, like, she gets like road rage like a motherfucker. Like the littlest thing will happen. She'll be like, this person's gonna get in front of me and go slow. Yeah. And I'm like, girl, where are we rushing to? Yeah. I'm like, I understand that that's annoying. I would be annoyed too, but also like, we're not in a rush, so like, why even get upset about it? Right. You know what I mean? Like, you have to kind of weigh why something matters, but also with my mom's background, I can understand why she is the way she is. Right. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm sitting here being like, my mom's so pathetic because she won't just like enjoy the little things. Like it's not that easy to just enjoy the little things. Yeah. But like you have to like figure it out. Like and obviously it was very easy for me to enjoy the little things because my mom, I'm an only child. My mom like broke the cycle of like abuse and just like whatever. So, like, I've just never had to deal with that. That being said, I wasn't raised, like, completely, like, oh, my God, you're so... Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I've fought with my mom. Like, I've obviously had issues with my dad or whatever. But it's never really manifested as anything crazy just because I have the foundation of being able to be, like, to even get into yoga. Yeah. I'm sorry. Somebody, like, living off food stamps with like 2 kids who has no support isn't going to think about like, oh, should I get into spirituality? Like, so that's what I mean when I'm saying like I'm not blaming these people, but also it's like this shit would help them so much. I know. And it's a practice. It does not happen. It does not happen in one day. No,
because when you try to tell them that, they're like,
the first day. That's what I tell people about like confidence too. When I'm like, look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm confident. It's like you're gonna feel stupid as fuck the first time you do that. You're gonna feel so fucking stupid. You're gonna be like, okay, this is not real. Literally. But then, I'm sorry, on the 100th day that you do it, you're gonna be like, wait, I'm not faking it anymore. Yeah. I'm not faking it anymore. Like, I actually, and we talked about that with the season 3 girls who are like, oh, season 3 girl would do this or whatever. Like, that's what I mean by, like, I'm not attached. I'm like, it's all, we're all just playing a game. Yeah. We're all just silly little people on this silly little fucking planet playing whatever fucking game that we think we need to play. And I honestly find lots of peace in knowing that it's not going to go on forever because fucking God, this place is atrocious. Yeah. But also it's gorgeous and amazing. Yeah. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's very, very yin and yang about life. So it's like, I don't know, you really just have to like adjust and like see what works for you. But yeah, that's really my opinion on death there, is that it's honestly more of a blessing than it is a curse. And obviously an early death is not a blessing. I'm not saying that, but like just in general, like this isn't all that we are. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if you get stuck in the mindset that this is all that we are, of course you'll be afraid of death. Right. I would be afraid of death if I just don't feel like this is all that's there. Yeah. I feel like this is a tiny, teeny little portion of what's here. And I happen to, by happenstance, get born into this body.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm experiencing life through this body. And the best I can do is just make the best out of it while I'm here.
Right.
If I'm gonna struggle,
Because that's
inevitable.
all you can do, yeah.
But all I can do is try to make the best out of it
Right.
and enjoy as much as possible. And especially since I know that this is so short.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go and like just do random shit I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like,
that's another
I mean,
thing.
there's shit like I don't want to do that I'm doing. Obviously, you have to, because we
But
talked about the discipline. But like, well, we talked about discipline,
well,
like
certain
shit that
things.
you have to do that you don't like. Maybe you don't want to work out, but you
you have to. You have to. Right,
you
you
to
should
like do something.
You don't
at least
have
a little
to,
bit.
but you definitely should.
Yeah,
you
you definitely should. Like, not even anything crazy, but just like a little bit, like once a week or something.
Brushing your teeth,
you know what I mean? Brushing your teeth.
You have
I'm
to
talking
do.
like even school. Like, I mean, I want. It's weird because like I want to do school, but I also don't. In the sense of like I don't want to take the statistics class. I just want to be a chiropractor. But to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be a chiropractor, I have to whatever. So it's like, in that sense, yeah, you have to do things that you don't want to do. But I mean in the sense of like little things, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, one of my best examples, like I came back for the summer. I'm getting 3 days on the schedule a week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm annoyed, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, you have little like teenage hostess working my takeout shifts where I could be making over $100. So I could sit here and choose to be mad about it. And at first I was. But then I sat here and really thought about it, right? You just like you can talk yourself into being mad, you can talk yourself out of being mad.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think about, but you really can. Because I sat here and I was like, I'm going to talk to the GM, to the AGM, the person who does the schedule. And I was like, I'm not going to bitch at her because I'm not an angry person. Like, I get mad, but I'm not, like, going to bitch at other people.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just going to talk to her and tell her I want more hours. And then as time went by, I was like, you know what? I was like, almost every week I can pick up a shift. And I have been picking up a shift. I'm also in this class. So do I really want to tell her I want more hours and then she schedules me 5 days and then I like can't do my homework and then I can't hang out? I was like, one, I'm getting to see my friends and hang out with them. And I'm sitting here, I'm always try to find the root, right? The root is like, I'm worried about money.
Yeah.
And so I want more hours.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, listen, I'm still making money. I'm going to be making money during the school year. I have a job. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
There it goes, right?
Yeah.
First, gratitude. Well, the good thing is I already have a job secured when I go back.
Right.
So I'm going to be making money there. Two, I don't even like it here that much.
Right.
What, am I going to spend more time in a place I don't even like that much?
Yeah.
It was a gift to be given only 3 days a week.
Because you might be pissed if you're scheduled 5 days
When
a
I'm
week.
in a class during the summer, I mean, if I wasn't taking this class, I probably would talk to her and it would just be chill.
Yeah.
But I'm taking a class. I get to spend more time with my mom.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those things where it's like not in a depressing way at all, but who knows how much more time I'm gonna have to spend with my mom. I'm on the verge of like literally creating a career for myself and leaving. Yeah. And I've just spent all my whole life with her. I'm not gonna take that for granted. Like any time that I can spend with her, I'm gonna spend with her.
Right.
Also my friends. Yeah. Like I'm getting to see them.
Yeah.
I was like, honestly, the more I talked to myself about it, I was like, 3 days was honestly exactly what the fuck I needed. Because most weeks I end up working more than 3 days. Right. Because I pick up a schedule. But then I get to almost
you can pick up shifts
create my schedule.
Yeah.
And then weirdly, I'm getting like the good shifts too. Like or at least one good shift a week where I'm like make like a good stack of cash. Right. And I was like, I'm happy with the amount of money that I'm making because money comes in and it's gonna go out. Yeah. Yeah. And I literally switched from being like pissed off that all these little kids were like getting all my money and all my shifts to being like, well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. I literally was like, I don't give a fuck.
Because wouldn't you maybe be more pissed if you had 5 shifts a week and then there was times where me or your other friends were like, hey, you want to do this? And you're like, shit, I'm working.
It's one of those things
over and over.
Where it's in the moment I would tell myself I'm not pissed because I'd be like, I'm making money. But then I would also be miserable only doing school and work because I'm working so much that I don't have time for school. So when I come back, I'm literally just doing school. Yeah. And I was like, if I was getting my old schedule right now, I would be so stressed out. Yeah. But right now, I'm chilling. I'm vibing. I'm having a short summer, and I'm enjoying it with the people I care about. Right. And I'm making money. Right. And I get to make money. Instead of being like, I'm only getting 3 days. Yeah, yeah. I get to have 3 days. Yeah. That is one of those things of flipping the script of well, what if I could have more hours? I was like, well, what if 3 is enough? Yeah. What if 3 days is enough? Right.
And what if she didn't even schedule you at all? Or once?
Yeah, we actually don't need you anymore. That happened to my fucking friend. She went home last summer. She was like, oh yeah, my job at Panera. And she called me. We were catching up. She was like, yeah, I go in. And he was like, yeah, we don't have hours for you.
That's
like
terrible.
She
like, that would
literally
be horrible. You
could
know?
not find a job. And then also it's like, I'm sorry, if you're a college student, like trying to
No
find a
one
job
really
in the
wants
summer,
to hire you,
it's so annoying because even if they want to hire you, really the process is so long of like interviewing and getting in. By the time you fully train, you're about to leave.
Yeah.
So even if they're like, yeah, we're okay with that, you're like, okay, well, I just started making money
two
here.
paychecks.
Yeah, I got 2 fucking paychecks. So it's like, it's not worth it. So I'm like, it's really making the most out of what you have. You know what I mean? And it's just like, there's so many different ways to do it. And that being said, like, obviously I need as much money as I can get, but I'm just trusting that like it's gonna be fine. Yeah, it's fine right now. It has been fine, and it will be fine.
Yeah, just like
I'll find a way.
Manifesting the right
again too. It's like,
you know,
3 days a week. Like, I was like, I need closing takeout shifts. All of a sudden, bitches are texting me. Can you take my closing takeout shift? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not getting scheduled them, but now I get to choose when I want to work them, which is
even
above
better.
that. Like,
you're like, wait, I'm better now.
I know, it's amazing. So I'm just like, it's one of those things where it's like, I have really been like, I notice, I almost can tell when like the universe or whatever, just like life in general is like testing me. Yeah. And being like, you say you're about this shit, but like, are you really about it?
Yeah, no, when you that's a whole nother thing too. When you can feel the universe testing you.
I can fucking
that shit is
I can
weird
fucking feel it. It's crazier when you know, because when you know, that means you probably passed the test.
Yeah.
Because I was like, Kylie, I was getting pissed. Yeah. I was like, these fucking 17-year-olds gonna come in and take my fucking hours. You don't know shit about takeout. I worked takeout through COVID. You don't know shit about takeout. You want to take my fucking hours? And then I was like, you know what? I don't even want to work anyway. No, it was literally, I literally was like, you know what? It's not that deep. Like, I like working through it. I was like, it switched like overnight. I was like, I'm actually so happy. I don't have to work that much this summer. No, literally. Like, it was so,
it works out fine because like we're able to see each other a lot. You're able to still work and do school and hang out with your mom and have time for yourself.
And it's not like the time's being wasted. No, like I'm getting credits.
Fill it up. Yeah.
Like
you'll fill up that time. It's not like you're just sitting there staring at a wall being like, what do I do?
Exactly. And I would like, and that's the same thing. How much? That's even my class. Like I'll get annoyed with it. How much does your class take up? It takes up like a good amount of time, but like I'm also, it's only one class. It takes up a good amount of time like every once in a while.
Still
like,
probably a couple
depending
days
on the
week,
chapter.
Or...
I'm doing something for it almost every day.
See? Yeah, that's a lot.
I know. And I was sitting here like annoyed by it at first. Well, at first I liked it because it's like whatever. But then I was like, oh my God, this is so annoying. But then I was like, you know what? I told my mom this too. I was like, I remember last summer. I mean, it wasn't awful. Like last summer wasn't awful, but it was one of those things where it's like anytime I wasn't working, I was like, I'm bored. Yeah. I have nothing to do. Yeah. I'm doing nothing. I want to be back on campus. So I was like, as much as this class sucks, at least I'm getting to learn something. Right. And that too, oh my God, the times I go into study when I'm like, oh my God, I have to study and I just need to get this done fast versus when I'm like, I get to learn something new, which is so annoying, but I have to tell myself sometimes, and it's so annoying because I don't want to do it, and I don't care about statistics. Yeah. I just want to learn. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but if I actually like will switch myself and like take a deep breath and be like, you get to learn about statistics right now. Yeah. I can't tell you how much I play pretend as an adult. Yeah, I know. One of my favorite things to do because that doesn't always work.
You sometimes learn that as a kid.
Sometimes I'll be like, I get to do this homework right now, or I get to like do this, and like it's an opportunity for me to learn something that other people don't get this opportunity. Sometimes that works for me, and that's fine. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, this still isn't working. I'm fucking miserable. What do I do? So the next step is I pretend like I'm teaching it. Oh, like I already know it, and now I'm teaching it. Yeah. And that
that's cool.
Burns it into my fucking brain. Yeah. It burned into my fucking brain. I swear to God, it's the best method of like studying ever is to like teach it. Pretend like you're teaching it. Yeah. I'm like, so we're learning about this. Yeah. And this is what this is. And
your mom comes up and she's like, what the fuck are you doing?
No, literally.
Like, Mom, sit down. Let me teach you.
I'm teaching you about stats right now. And it's just so crazy how like I built those neural pathways though to be able to like switch my brain right away. Yeah. Whereas like if you're stuck in a pathway of like homework is miserable, of course you're going to feel like homework is miserable. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's going to take time for you to switch that, but you have to know that it's possible.
Right. That's like,
it's crazy.
I I recently, over the past couple years, like, not during school at all, I hated learning.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's because it just didn't quite interest me, and it wasn't something I could choose to learn about. I like to be
It was
able
like,
to
you have to
choose.
learn about this.
Yeah, like, don't
which is so
force that
fucking
upon me.
annoying.
Like, I wish we could have chosen. Imagine how much more successful
I
people
would've
might be.
I think about that all the time
options,
because...
And you chose them yourself.
I think about that all the time because I struggled so much in high school. And I'm excelling in college.
Yeah.
I've never done this well in school in
Yeah.
my entire life. And it's
Yeah.
because I'm studying what I'm passionate about and interested in. And obviously I still have to take classes that I don't care about to get my thing. But like for example, organic chemistry, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
And it actually fucking makes me shake and want to vomit.
Yeah.
But I got an A in it because I just was like, I'm going to be able to... I took easy classes with it too. And I'm also... I don't know. I'm learning other shit that I actually care about. Like my wellness class that taught me all this crazy shit about wellness and like upstream approaches to healthcare that I'm just like, now there's even more of a fire under my ass to like do the profession that I want to do. And then that's why I'm so excited to go to grad school, because that's really all the shit that I'm actually trying to learn. There's a little bit of other shit like biochem and shit like that, but like it's mostly like I'm gonna be actually learning my shit now. So I'm like, if we actually started people from high school, I mean, then I'm guessing you would have to like decide earlier, which is kind of like scary, but
or it would just give you more time.
It would give you more time, because I feel like you don't have to decide, but you could just be like, what are you interested
Start
in?
aiming.
Are you a kid that's good in the
yeah.
sciences? And still make them take classes outside of that, but not a bunch.
Just like basic
Still,
stuff.
I think you should be able to pick a major in high school.
Yeah, like math should not go past
Because
like
I'm sorry,
algebra.
No,
like,
if you're going to college for math, even if you don't know you want to do it yet, you come from middle school, you're like, I'm really good at math.
Yeah, like I like it.
You should be able to major in math in high school, so that most of your classes are math classes. But you still have to take like, because obviously being well-rounded is super important, and taking other classes is important. But like, that's basically what college does. College is like, okay, so your math major is health
why
sciences.
did you do that all again?
Right.
Take all the basic classes in college again.
It's so annoying because that's what college does. But it was fine for me because I also had like so much time in between high school. But college is so awesome in the sense that it's like, you're majoring in health sciences, but we also need you to have a creative arts credit. We need you to have a sociology credit. So you learn other shit, even though that's not your major, just so you're well-rounded and know just a good sense about everything. Right. So I feel like they should do that for high school, too, where it's like, you're going to take your English class every year, but you don't need to take, like, crazy, like, whatever. But you're going to take mostly math classes because you want to be in math. And you could change it as you go, because high school is 4 years.
What if
you could change your major every year in high school if you wanted. Because you can't do that in college because it's an actual, like, legal degree. But you could do... Actually, high school, they should formulate it
fuck, are we on to something?
They should literally formulate high school like college, because you could change your major every year if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm really good at math, and I did math all year, but I fucking hated it. Right. I got great grades, but I fucking hated it.
And you're like, ooh, let me
And
switch.
I actually wanted to try science.
Yeah.
So you take a whole year of like science classes. And you just get all the science. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, this is great, and I'm going to stick with it. And you stick with it. You end high school with like a lot of science credits. Get into a college for science. Half your credits are already done because you did them in high school.
And even if you want to change your mind again, then you have all of college.
Those,
like you get to college and you're like, all right, I know I don't like math and I know I don't like science. Exactly. I think English is the way to go. Then like so many people would be changing. I just hate
the way it's like, I feel like for elementary and middle school, it makes sense to learn a little bit of everything. But then after that, it's like, girl.
It's so, no.
Like, let us pick.
That's why I feel
Let us pick and let us fail. Yeah. Too. Yeah. Because failing is such an important part of learning about who you are. Yeah. And I feel like because I failed so much in my life, I really am so confident in who I am now, which is like, I go to school with people younger than me who are like about to graduate with a degree and they're like,
but that's the issue in
and it's
college.
Because they just were forced to go in and they know how to take a class and they know how to pass a class. They're not passionate about it. Yeah. And they don't care. And it's like fine, but it's also like now you're graduating and you don't even know what you want to do. And it's just like you have time. Like I'm not saying these people don't have time and it's a bad thing, but like it's one of those things of like, wouldn't you prefer to know? And a lot of them would prefer to know. Like I remember going to college. I went to college, I was 21 when I was going to college. And my friend was 18 and we were both going to the same college. And she's like, I saw her go through every phase of the summer. I was like, I'm excited that I got accepted. Oh my God, this is so exciting. I'm going to college. To like, oh my God, I think I'm going to switch my major. And she
Yeah.
already, like, she hasn't even set foot on the fucking campus yet. I'm going to switch my major. I need to switch my major.
Oh my God.
No, okay, I'm not going to switch my major. I don't even know if I want to go to college anymore. I don't even want to. I was like, girl. But then I realized, I was like, she's fresh out of high school. I was like, I've had years in between to be like, yeah, this is exactly what the fuck I want to do. And I also know what life is like outside of a structure.
Yeah.
After, like, leaving high school and just, like, living and working.
Yeah.
So I'm not scared of life after college either, because there was a lot of people in college who were seniors and, like, actually confident in their degree, but they were like, I don't want to leave college.
Yeah, they're like, I have to start my life.
I've always
like,
been in school. I've always been in school. I went straight from high school to college.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine going straight from high school to fucking college. I needed those years in between. If I would have did that, I would have failed out of college.
Yeah, well, that's
100%. I needed those years in between. They were absolutely necessary to me because now I know who I am and how to study, how I learn. Yeah. And it has helped me so much grow, like, exponentially.
No, literally,
it is crazy.
When I went right at 17, and I was like, oh my God. And I picked criminal justice. And like at that time, I was really, obsessive with serial killers? Yeah. I still obviously love that stuff. Yeah. And like everything with criminal justice, but I wasn't thinking in depth of like working and being attached to the justice system. Because it's a completely different thing. Because that was me. Obsessed with it and then working it is so different. I have like friends that are like, I don't want to do anything. My thing was like, I could see myself doing anything. Yeah. Because I'm very like multifaceted type of bitch. But then now, as I got older, I can definitely still see myself doing anything. But there's certain things where I'm like, I wouldn't want to do that. Yeah, like for a while, I even thought about being a dermatologist because I was like, there was a phase where I went through like the pimple popping videos. And I was like, I love these. I don't think I can watch them anymore. But definitely there was a phase where I was like, oh my God. And she would like talk about it, and I was like, I could be a dermatologist. And I was like, I can't do it. But then you're right.
I was like, I don't want to do that.
Then you're like, that's a phase.
I'm like, it's a phase.
Really was obsessed with watching. It's a phase. Pimple
and
popping.
Then also just knowing who you are as a person, right? It's a difference between liking a content and being able to, or even just like liking something in general and being able to do it. Yeah. It's a completely different. You watch TV because, shows. Because, for example, I'm somebody who went into STEM for whatever fucking reason. Yeah. Because I excel in English. Yeah. I can write a good paper in a night. Like, right. And I'm not even like saying that as a flex. I'm saying that as like I found that out this last semester in these last like year in school. Because I remember like having to write papers and being like, oh my God, this paper's so bad. Like I'm embarrassed. Like I'm turning this in though because of whatever. I just need to get it in. And the teacher will give me 100%. Right. This is so well written. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I forget that I excelled because I was in IB English in high school. And I was like, I forget that English is where I excel. Yeah. I don't excel in sciences. Yeah, I chose to go into sciences because that's actually a job I want to do, which is so contrast. Yeah. I can't see myself being a writer. Or I can see myself writing, but I don't see myself being a writer like for just a full profit. Blown, for a profit. Like I still feel like I might write a book someday. That is on my bucket list, though. Yeah, I feel like I might write a book one day. Or a poem book. That's on my bucket list. Like we need to write poetry together. We need to write poetry together.
I have it all in my notes.
Because we need to do that.
That's all I did throughout college. I would sit in my classes. Yeah. It used to be in college. It was like really dark stuff. It was very like I have what's the book called? Milk and Honey or whatever. Yes, have that book. Love that stuff. And that's one of those things too, where it's like I was so into science and I never because I excel in English and I love English as a creative aspect. Yeah, I can't I haven't dealt with it because I've been in STEM. And maybe you might hate it if I did it. Trying to make an income off solely just
I couldn't be a teacher. I don't want to be a teacher
because it'd be like forced income off of it instead of writing freely for fun.
Versus me now, I'm in poetry club. Mm-hmm. I'm literally about to be e-board on poetry club, and I'm like writing poetry every day for fun while I'm doing my STEM stuff, which I also have a huge appreciation for. Yes. I've always thought science was so fucking cool. I just wasn't good at it. There's a difference between liking something and being good at it. Yeah. Like, I loved English and I was good at it. I loved science and I was bad at it. Yes. And I'm like, I chose, STEM for what? Like, why did
science and I was so bad at it,
why did I do this to myself? But I thought it was so cool, to understand how the body works. Yeah. And it was after I took anatomy, physiology, I was like, this is changing my life. I was like, this is amazing.
But there's definitely a difference where you have to tell yourself, okay, I love writing, but I don't want to put the stress on having to make money off of it to hate it.
Right, exactly.
So
where I'm
that
like, I
as
just need to
like,
write something.
yeah,
Exactly.
So
So
keep
I'm
that
like,
as a fun,
English is
loving
supposed to be my fun thing,
Yeah.
and I'm supposed to do science even though I suck at it. I mean, I don't suck at it anymore, but like I did.
Yeah.
And I still struggle with it as somebody who's very creative. I talk to anybody on my campus. All my friends are like they're all like in film, photo, writing. Like all my friends are like in the creative theater, arts. Every time I meet somebody new and like have a good conversation, what's your major? I'm like, oh, health sciences. Oh, I would have thought you were like acting or like writing or like I would never have thought you were health sciences. I'm like, yeah, I don't really give health science. I've been in 2 movies this last year.
But think about it. You liked that, right? That was fun.
I loved
What if
it.
that was based off your
I
income?
know.
Would you hate
I
it?
know. I'm
You know
like,
what I
it's
mean?
acting. So I'm like, I wanted to be an actress ever since I could think about like when I was little. And I was like, I don't think I would want to do it like that. I think I would want to do it on the side.
Then it might not be fun.
On the side.
Yeah.
As like a little fun gig. And so I'm like, I don't know. It really has like changed my life to like think about things like that way.
Yeah.
It's so different. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Oh no,
Oh my god, we're literally at
perfectly
the end
on
of another
time.
one. No, it's crazy. When you said we needed
It's going
to
by
like,
so fast.
you said we needed to make other